Chronicles of AghyNarnia. The Chronicles of AghyNarnia.
Claire, we probably only scratched the surface.
No, I know.
Hello there. Welcome to the Chronicles of AghyNarnia, the podcast that delves into the lives of everyday legends as they tell us their stories, the tales of yesteryears gone by and ones yet to come. I'm your host Andy Dolan, a part-time teacher, part-time inventor of the reverse solo, full-time wind-up merchant. I'm here with my fantastic co-host and friend Claire Devine as we both navigate our way to chronicle these amazing stories into becoming myth and legend. What can I say about Claire? She is a diligent pharmacist by day, a talented artist/musician by night, and above all, a mother 24/7. We both grew up in a wonderful little place in the middle of nowhere called Aghyaran, or as I've always called it, AghyNarnia. Whenever I told people where I was from, they would often struggle with how to pronounce Aghyaran. They'd say, "Hey, what?" So after a while, I just found it easier to say I was from AghyNarnia. I would tell them you go about 5 miles out the road from Castlederg until you lose your phone signal. Not long after that, you'll come to a crossroads with an old abandoned wardrobe. Go beyond the wardrobe and turn left. But whatever you do, never turn right. We'll never find you again. So let me tell you about AghyNarnia, our beloved townland way out in the wild west of County Tyrone, nestled in the rolling hills and enchanted woodlands of the north of Ireland. AghyNarnia is more than just a place on the map. It's a community rich in history, culture, and stories waiting to be told. Join us as we explore the hidden gems, local legends, and everyday lives of the people who call AghyNarnia home. The AghyNarnians. There's something magical in the air around home, and there's something special in the water. Then again, we do have a distillery nearby, so maybe that's just the bantha milk. In seasons to come, we'll venture further afield to other communities beyond the wardrobe, but never down that road to the right. In terms of socials, you can find us as AghyNarnia. So firstly, Claire, Cracky Chan, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you very much. Enjoying this lovely weather that we're getting.
Yeah, I think we get to say this all the time. It's
I
just
know, yeah.
keeps continuing.
Surprisingly so, yeah.
I'm at a city. I was doing it Eileen Gallagher's memorial quiz on Friday night down in the centre, and my God, competition. Just people have been very competitive, but it was brilliant and a great honour to honour Eileen's memory, should I say. But a great night. The Aghyaran people, definitely the competitive edge.
They're known for the quizzes.
So Claire, who's our special guest?
Tonight we have a few Aghyaran legends here. We have Patsy Connolly, Charlie Moss, and Gerard Devine.
3 big guns.
3 big guns from the club.
I think I'm going to title this episode The 3 Wise Men.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. We've been called other things.
To your face or behind your back?
Both.
Guys, we're absolutely honoured to have you here tonight, and we're so glad that you agreed to come on and be here with us and share your memories of Aghyaran. And more specifically, I've called this the Aghyaran St Davog special because mainly we're trying to focus on the GA club and how it's been a big part of your lives and everyone's lives in this community since 1956 basically. Charlie, just to give a bit of background information, Charlie was chairman of the club for 8 years, secretary for 7 years, player from under 14 to senior. Gerard, you were 16 years over 2 different stints, I would believe. Secretary. Yeah, a player from 63 to 83 and nowadays a video specialist, I believe.
I'm not a specialist.
And Patsy Connolly, the big fella himself, player, reserve manager, treasurer, secretary, county board delegate, anything and everything to Aghyaran. He's been there.
Unbiased linesman.
An unbiased
linesman.
Yes, and umpire as well.
And umpire as well.
Yes.
There you go.
We've hit most of the marks there, Claire.
It's a great place to make enemies.
Oh, definitely. To trip people up too.
And annoy people.
So let's kick this off, guys. What are your earliest memories of football in and around Aghyaran or AghyNarnia pre to St Davog's Aghyaran being formed in 1956?
Well, I know my young kids at me, so I'm talking about say 1951, 52. I can remember back to then. There wasn't football. There had been football now in Aghyaran in 51. The summer of 51, they played at a field down the Mahoney Road beside Billy McGrath's house.
Yes.
But they didn't compete in competition, but they gathered up in the summertime. But my first memories of Irish football would have been at the school, at Carricohan School, sure about 54 around that time. They came a priest to Aghyaran that time, Father Joseph Morris, and he must have been trying to encourage it for we'd been playing a bit of football as wee boys over at the school. And then in 55, then it was more prominent because Tyrone were starting to make moves. Tyrone senior team hadn't won an Ulster up to that, and then in 56 they won their first Ulster. But before that, Aghyaran, St Davogs, really the St Davogs, whilst they might have been started, they weren't competing in anything to November of that year. There's the St Cup against Clogher up on Clogher. But they had I think there was the early part anyway. There was a gather up at the chapel to tidy up whether it's a mission or whether it's a confirmation. I think Sean McHugh wasn't just that sure, but Father Morris came over to Paddy Midlaughlin, him and John Philip O'Donnell. Now, these three men had been known to be sort of well nationalist-minded people, and he came over to something. Sean says to the fact that what bridge are you thinking of blowing?
Right.
Paddy Midlaughlin says, to believe it or not, as a football team we're thinking of starting. So then he sat down, they chatted. Now, John Philip wouldn't have been a football man, but I mean, he would have been a nationalist man anyway, like, and he'd been supporting it. Like. So he said he would announce it the following Sunday, and he did. And there was a reasonable crowd at it. I wasn't at it now, Patsy might have been at it. But it was in the hall. Thomas Dolan told me he was at it, so it had to be nearly sort of the middle of June because Thomas was St Columns and they would have to be on holidays.
Yeah.
So that's been the meeting, and they decided to have another meeting to elect a committee, and they said it was a fairly good representation at it. So they eventually elected a committee, and Father Morris agreed to be chairperson, and the secretary was a teacher called Charlie Kerr from Fanad in County Donegal, and the treasurer was Cathal Dugan, first treasurer.
Right.
Now they weren't doing anything, to be very truthful, because they were just sitting there type of thing, and trying to get registered with the county board at that time. And I remember Sean McGoldrick saying we had the advantage that the Ulster Council chairperson was a man called Seamus McFerrin. He was the man that opened Casement Park. Now there's a cup for him as well. Seamus McFerrin's brother lived in Castlederg. Now what he was, I don't know, was he a teacher?
Agricultural inspector.
Was that who he was?
That's who it was,
And I remember Sean says Billy and Eddie told them that'd be a good man to get a word on to get you, because you see it wasn't as simple as starting a team at club. Like, you had to prove that there was a need for you in that area, because they could have said, well, Castlederg's the area. The county board could say that.
It was important at that
but
time.
they got it accepted anyway. But they would have played now. They had no field at this stage, so they looked around at a number of things. But I remember Charles Midland telling us that he was at the meeting, and whether he proposes or Mrs. Connolly proposed, but Patsy's mother gave them the first field.
Well, he came on to our house the next day after the meeting and inquired, our field and our land would be available. And my mother says, pick whatever field they want, if it's any use. And we thought just that was with everything we'd heard, everything going to be football locally.
And so the first field was in Mulnabreen.
Yes, it was indeed. It was up past for Wooly John Dolan. It's a second.
There's a lane up there. There's a lane goes from the main road there up to the Mulnabreen road.
Yes.
That's right.
You did a video on that field, Gerard, didn't you, recently?
Oh, did I?
It's actually been recorded.
Right.
It never had been before.
And I can remember.
And now it's recorded.
Well, I gave a copy to Dunny there no time ago. It's night there.
A few of the characters that had been there on the day in 1956. There's not very many survivors left, so it was nice to get them, recorded for.
Paddy McLaughlin came with the tractor.
The tractor, that's what I was going to ask. How was it all set up?
Wee Ferguson tractor, and the posts, putting up the goal posts, and they had to dig in that team. No machinery, just
manual labour.
Manual labour. That was the greatest thing ever,
Yeah.
The only thing we'd heard about football was Michael O'Hare brought it to us on the radio.
Yeah.
And I can remember they'd be kicking in and out, and Wooly, your uncle, he'd been full of crack, you see. And he says, now put a bag on the meeting house one day. he was going to take a shot.
Good power away, wasn't it?
But the far goals, they must have been lined up, towards the meeting house one day. Boys, you need to put a bag in the meeting house one day.
But this field was surrounded by hawthorn hedges as well.
Oh, it was surely.
And you said one football and only one football.
One football,
and you know where that'll be.
A leather ball. It was laced.
Well, it wasn't like the plastic thing now. None was leather.
And whenever it
got wet,
it just got like a 6 and 50.
Oh Lord, it was like
heavy.
A medicine ball.
Blood on it was stuck to it. Leather.
And Father Morris kept this in the parochial house today, or?
He probably did. There was only one ball.
There was only one ball at the start. We played there first of all on the 2nd of September 1956. We played Castlederg Gather Up, and Aghyaran was a Gather Up as well, because they weren't affiliated.
And they played. There was an Aghyaran team. That team was called Largy.
Because the Aghyaran was banned.
Aghyaran was banned, so they were townland of Largy, and that was called Largy to avoid.
And why was that banned?
A way of beating the law.
Of playing illegal players or something.
Playing legal players.
There's always a loophole. Let's call ourselves Largy.
Was Harry Carey, who lived in Lifford, was he president?
he's a
Was also
president.
at that time.
That's right.
Harry Carey, remember as well, the name, Harry Carey.
Just go back to Father Morris there. Like, he must have been a relieved man that they weren't blowing up something at that time.
Well, you see, his brother was on
56 would have been
the run. Like, his brother was down in Convoy.
Dangerous time.
Fix, you see, the time the border war, the thing was going
They called it Operation
The
Harvest.
56 to 62, there's a 56 to 62 campaign was going on at that time.
Right.
It wouldn't have had the same intensity as the Troubles had,
No
like,
intensity,
but still there was
low level.
things happening, like, you know.
Things happening now.
But Father Morris was, like, prior to that, I don't know what priests were helping them. Father Midlynchy, while he was a great nationalist man, he had no great interest in the GAA.
Right.
Oh no! But you see, you had to more or less, you had to make him president. So he was the first
Right.
president
You had
right.
the
our
local
club.
PP's always the president of the club.
You know,
Yeah, you had to keep tight with the
you have
PP
to-
because they read the notes at mass
That's
for the
right.
club as well.
Had to be right.
And coincidentally, like the year Aghyaran was set up, maybe like a month later, Tyrone won the
Tyrone
first
won the Ulster
Ulster.
Championship.
That's
Yeah.
right. They weren't in July.
You were at
That's
this
right.
game,
I was
Patsy?
that's my first ever football game to go to.
Wow.
My uncle George G. McDonald and went away in a bus or some kind. And I remember as well being at the match. I was, because I was only 10 or so, I was standing on the wire and to get watch of the match because everybody else was. See, that time the wire was just up to near the touchline or the sideline. And I remember as well the boy Mickey Kerr come out to take a line ball. And he came out and he put his hand on the wire and me just standing a foot away from it or 6 inches. And I thought I'd seen everything when I seen Mickey Kerr. And later years I got to know Mickey Kerr and played football against him. And I remember saying to him one day, well, he says, what did you expect to see?
Wow.
Yeah.
See, you must. McGrain stand like in Clonus was a hull, no seats, no steps, no nothing, just a hull.
You
Jim was
walked
that
in,
feel
you
out
stood
there.
in the
Yeah.
muck. So that, and I can remember as well the ball go down to the far side and throw and get a lot of goals.
He was a lot of goals. Very bad day.
3-4 to 4 points from the final score.
So it was a good one.
You remember them wee things,
Nuggets. Yeah.
Well, I just thought it was like a good coincidence that the year
Yeah.
Aghyaran started Tyrone.
so
That's right, we want to help the other type of thing. We were very
Yeah.
lucky. But you were lucky that Paddy McLaughlin had the foresight to do things like that there.
Yeah.
I remember in later years he said, I had a young family coming on and I would like to get them. See, people weren't emigrating the way they had been, say, in the 20s and 30s and 40s. There was sort of the Education Act came in 47
yeah.
and people stayed about, or there were more people staying about than had been anyway. And that's why you needed some pastime for young people, because I mean,
Yeah.
we had a teacher and she would have said, the idle hand will always find some mischief still to do.
Always. You got the club up and running, and then you got a pitch, but then
That's right.
did you stay in that pitch? long?
No.
did that for 3 years or so.
And then on the 8th of December 1956, we moved up to the parochial field.
Yes.
Right.
At this stage, we had no jerseys or nothing. Like,
Denny McMenamin was a member of that first team.
Oh, aye.
That's right, didn't it? And Father Willie Sproul.
that's right. Oh, aye.
yeah, I could go.
Yes,
right
and
later
Robbie
on, I think
Sproul.
some of them were Robbie.
And I had a brother Eddie. He was in that team.
Sonny Harper.
And Edward Joe McHugh,
Edward Joe
he
McHugh.
was shot dead in Belfast.
Yes.
And Sonny Harper, Big Packy Oiney,
John McCrory.
Cahill Dugan, Wally Bartley, Sean McGoldrick, Sean Harvey, come on.
Robbie Sproul.
That's Robbie.
Big Packy, his grandson is Conor Bradley.
Oh, wow.
he
There
played
you
midfield.
go.
That's a bit of I was thinking about. Big Packy McMenamin. Big man.
We had brutal sizes of men. Cahill Dugan, like about 6'4",
Sean
Packy
McGoldrick.
McMahon, Sean McGoldrick as well.
And they won by 9 points as well.
He
which
could have won the one well, apparently, anyway.
started the rivalry with
That's
Castleberry.
right,
Yeah.
Well, it started
Way back then.
I think it continued to rivalry.
Continues the
So then they moved on then, I say on the 8th of December, that's when they moved up to the parochial field.
So this is the famous slope.
There's the slope.
Slope,
Pitch.
the slope, aye.
Yeah.
And throughout there, like, they would have played on to 61 before, without winning a match. But on the 17th of March 57, that's the first day they had jerseys.
That's right.
And they got the jerseys from Alvarez, but I mean, Father Willie was involved in the picking, and they picked the colours they picked was green and white, the same as Celtic. That'll tell you the mentality was going at the time.
Yes,
That you
No
picked.
coincidence.
Yeah.
But anyway, they picked the jerseys for. I remember we were in Carrickon School at the time, and Big Mick was also at Carrickon School at the time, and he went to the Aghyaran was playing Donaman on the Snenda Cup on the 17th of March. He went to the match rather than going to St Patrick's Well, and Mr. O'Connor didn't think much of that.
We went to the well, but we rushed back before the rosary was over. And we got beaten. Mickey Brown was another man that played in that team, and Eddie Farah.
Right.
Yes, well, Arthur didn't play in 56, but he played in 57. He had blood pressure, he said in 56, he didn't play any football. But in 57, he was playing. Now, Arthur Meehan would have been a key man, because the big shout amongst the rest of the players was give her to Arthur.
Give her to Arthur,
You know.
Giving Arthur.
He was like an out half in rugby, like, you know,
Yeah.
give it Arthur to do something,
Control
you know.
game or
But he had played with Ernie previously.
He played running in 1551 now.
So he had a bit of experience.
He-
Otherwise wouldn't have.
Oh, right,
And he
okay.
used to ride a bicycle down to Ernie to play for them
And ride a bike home.
and ride a bike home.
Like, and the match could be in Arbo, and they come home at Ernie and Arthur ride a bike home.
My goodness.
That's commitment there.
Isn't it just?
It just shows you there was nothing set up there that he needed. He found it. He needed to go there.
Yeah.
Like Arthur was probably in a wrong generation. If he had come, say, 20 years later, you know, he would have been better, a lot better known, you know. He was,
Jimmy Owens was on around.
Jimmy come in and he was the next secretary.
He was an ex-sec.
Uh,
He knew Irish. He could
That's
speak
right.
fairly good Irish. Jimmy Owens.
And he would write the team sheets and
Oh, yeah,
Irish
Irish,
as well.
that team.
Yeah.
Had a watermark paper. And,
Watermark paper.
Wow.
Very
Oh,
technical.
Oh, wow.
Irish watermark.
and he went to the meetings. There were meetings held in the Melville Hotel in Omagh, the West Throne Board meetings.
Right.
That's
Peter
they held them.
Coleman would have been the
Coleman would have been the
Peter
chairman.
Coleman was the chairman at that time. A Funchna man.
That was High Street, no more, wasn't it?
Up that side, yeah. Up near where the bank is up there.
It's the right hand side, it's across the courthouse. If you're standing at the courthouse, it was on the left hand side looking down
Correct,
from the courthouse.
Oh, I know now. There used to be that meeting at INF Hall there.
That would have been just up
Could have been
there.
there.
That's behind there was its meetings in it.
But Sean McGoldrick at that stage was young, but he was very useful. For Sean used to go with Jimmy Owens to meetings, you know. And Sean McGoldrick was a good man, because whilst he played, he was good on off the field, like, you know.
Very good.
Sort of sensible.
Administration, yeah.
As well as Sean McHugh Mullinabeen, he was the same. Sean didn't play much football, but he was very good off the field, like, you know.
Yeah.
At least when we came along, we got enjoyment playing football.
Yeah.
We might have eventually end up in commandos and that, but we got some enjoyment. But Sean and Jimmy Owens never played football, but he still was involved with traditional music as well as GA and things like that, you know.
And like a big part of the club is like the volunteers and people just
volunteers,
like getting stuck in, should I say?
Yeah.
And then 57 they got to the West Throne junior final. They met Craigan down at Newton Stewart in the beginning of August, and it was a beat. Jackie Midlynchy, who later became father Jackie Midlynchy, he broke his collarbone or broke a bone about his shoulder.
That's right, around that. And there was a boy, Jimmy Glass,
You were Jimmy,
kicked the balls. Well, that time, to kick a 50 with a bar with this big heavy ball was a major effort.
Yeah.
So he kicked a few long range frees and that beat us. Kicked him over the bar.
Father Woolley would have been key then, because it wasn't Father Woolley and he didn't get it into the following year, but he was playing for McCool's. He won a senior championship medal with McCool's in 58.
Oh, wow.
McCool started the same year as Aghyaran. Now, there was a team, but it was in Stranraer. But McCool's himself, Sean McCool, started in 56, the same as Aghyaran.
You see there where the
Won a senior championship
that's there now up at by the school, Drumbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That there is where McCool's played their football.
Right.
They got the McCool
Until
Park.
and beside the bridge there.
Aye.
McCool Park belonged to a man called Michael Byrne. He sold it. He was a cattleman. It's the same Byrne as Alec and them ones.
Right.
Oh, aye. It was Byrne from Lascully.
Burn from the school.
He owned that and he sold it to McCool. It was opened in 1956. Kerry played them. There used to be a plaque outside the pitch with the names of the two teams at McCool Park. Probably away now, it's an old one.
Just going back to the pitch, we played on that famous infamous slope, and we'll probably hear a few more stories about that. But then in 1978 we moved to the present site.
That's right.
Where we got the pitch.
A lot of the clubs from, say, particularly the clubs that had good pitches, they mortally hated coming to play on our pitch, you know.
Right.
Now ours was a natural pitch. Believe it or not, in the worst of the winter, it never was mucky. You know, it was a natural drainage. It wasn't like the present pitches, like in a really bad time, they might get mucky, but it was terrible slope. Like, you know, we could play better up the hill.
The teams who used to come,
And they used to come,
The
oh, drop them
extra
down the
effort to play on a hill, my God.
We'll play the first half up the hill and then be handy in the second half. that's true. But the boys would tell you the ball when the ball down to the far side, she usually drifts it wide to the
that's
other
right,
side. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pitch was falling.
Pitch was falling
down the
away.
bottom left, like.
So
Yeah.
there were an awful lot of ways kicked by the opposition.
The old pitch, like when I played on, it was 110 yards long, and I was at a underage final against the Moy in Fintna, and I walked it, and their pitch was 110 yards wide,
Aye.
and ours 110 yards long.
Right.
But it didn't help us away a lot. Like we had plenty of good young players, say, coming on, say in the late 60s and that there,
Yeah.
and that pitch didn't help them, you know.
No.
It might have helped some of the older players, like in the early 60s or that, but it didn't help the younger players coming through, because then when you went to play a good pitch, you were
Yeah.
completely lost. Like, you
Yeah.
know. But in 1970, English won the Throne Senior Championship, and the following year they came to Aghyaran and we beat them in Aghyaran.
And
pitch. The Dungannon Observer contained nothing but this was obviously an English reporter put it on about how bad the pitch was. Nobody could play on this pitch and all that there, and that's why Aghyaran beat English.
Right.
We went up about 3 weeks later to English and beat them in English. And Arthur Meehan ran up and down the line. What about the slope now, boys? What about the slope?
That'd been Arthur.
What about the slope now?
Brilliant.
Brendan Dolan and Seamus Gibbon were the two
what?
midfielders that day.
Could have played county like.
Yeah.
Did play
So
county.
both have played county, aye.
Oh yeah.
I made Mickey Jordan sliding through at a wild's pace. His son Philip played for Tyrone, won the Ireland. Mickey played with Tyrone too at the same time. And he was left footed, he got a drop kick and he hit the crossbar. And the ball went out by him, like a rocket out to one about 50 yards out. I'll tell you, he played that day for Aghyaran was Charlie Gowan.
That day up in English, Michael didn't play. Remember, we called back to the
That's right,
hospital.
to the hospital, he was in the hospital.
Michael had a hernia or something, you know.
Right.
He would have been the main man, like, you know, as regards case as a young person starting off. He was 5 or so older than me, but he was a grinder. He made everybody even round. Like, he'd been,
Like a leader.
gathering them up in the minibus, things like
Yeah.
that. He could never have been repaid for what he was
Never
doing.
been
Like, you
replaced
know.
what he done in the club. No, he just kept her together. She could have folded one time only for him.
Oh,
I'm in that minibus.
That's right.
Yeah.
And collecting
Oh,
all
yeah.
Yeah, we heard stories about
Oh,
that
yes,
too. Yeah.
Doing 2 runs to Croke Park, taking
Oh.
her.
Yeah.
Keeping things
Keep the
alive.
motivation going.
He said he got 6 punctures going to Crook Park. Paddy Dolan was with him that time. You know, Paddy is still about. He was with him.
My goodness.
But I remember that day up at English and the English
Oh,
boys.
yeah.
And we beat, the English.
They were county champions, like.
Yeah.
They beat them twice.
Twice,
And to
home
beat
and
them
away.
twice in a short space of time.
So you're saying like the name Aghyaran was pretty much straight away
Well,
as soon
I'll
as you
tell you,
formed?
to be very truthful, Brandon was the reason. Because Brandon was playing, he won a Hogan Cup with St. Columns. Their first
65,
Hogan.
yeah.
65.
And you know, then he was, later on that year he got picked with Tyrone senior team against Donegal, opening a pitch up in Fontana.
Fontana was up with
And then
him,
he would have been a regular from that day. Unfortunately, he was killed. And he was a big help, his name.
Oh, how's it mighty for footballer, mighty.
And so he could have held his own with anybody in Ireland. He's not running at the Tyrone at midfield. Oh, he could surely, yes. Big and strong, like, you know. And,
Mobile.
oh, aye.
And could kick a ball, a big heavy wet ball, 60, 70 yards.
Said this to Father Andy when he was here that
Yeah.
like I went to St. Coleman's as a pupil and Declan Forbes was my PE teacher and
All right.
anytime he was like, Dolan, Brendan Dolan, you must be related to Brendan Dolan, and he would just go off into stories about how fantastic Brendan was as a person, like
Big basketball player as well.
and big
Oh, he was,
basketball
oh,
player,
aye.
yeah. Similarities with Cormac McAnallen, who was a big
Yeah.
basketball player as well.
It's the same shape of influence on an influencer.
So you're saying Brendan was the reason that our name came to
Oh,
the club?
certainly was. He brought us put us on the map, like, you know.
Yeah.
He'd been the first Aghyaran man to wear Tyrone jersey. He'd been the first Aghyaran man, to get prominent, like, you know. The rest of us was good enough players, like, you know. But I mean,
He was the star.
way above everything else, like, you know.
Yeah.
Tell the name said that was Father Wally. He thought that mentioned one time that he had named it, then somebody else said Father McGlinchy.
Well, I'll tell you.
It was named after a bed up in Loch Derg.
Right.
Davog's are bad.
He was the
Davog,
patron saint, wasn't he?
Davog, his roots is around Termon McGrath and Termon Mungan, which is Pedigo and AghyNarnia.
Yeah.
That's his roots. And according to this was Sean McHugh says that Father Morris said, we'll keep in Father Peder's good books, because he had just opened a school up in Scrahy and he called it St. Davog's.
Yeah.
Right.
Up, you know, Scrahy School.
Yeah,
Yes.
Scrahy's good,
And he
yeah.
said, we'll keep in his good books, because Father Lynch was into that sort of old cultural things, like, you know,
Yeah.
keep them going. So that's how they got St. Davog's. Now, there are only St. Davog's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So because the pitch was in the townland of Aghyaran and then St Davog's was coming
Yeah.
through Father Wally's parole basically, and that's how it all began from that point. So the first game was against Castledare, which we won. First official game was away to Clougharns and then the Cup, as you had
That's right.
mentioned. They got beat 3-4 to 1-6.
Could have been.
But like, what about those 5 years in between before we won against Trillick?
You skipped them, Andy.
Skip them.
But I mean, like, it must have been tough to keep it going at that time.
Yeah, now the
If
good
you
thing
turned
was.
the table, if you turned the league table upside down, we'd be in the top of it for 5 years.
You see around 58, 57 would have been in the West Tyrone Junior League, but 58 would have started to get the boys from Dregish, because we couldn't get teams out.
Right.
You
So the Collinses
struggle with
originally come from Ballymungan anyway. This would be Dan Collins's family. They were first cousin to Fat Andy's. And they Tommy and Jim and Michael, Patsy might have played. They would have been all sort of played.
They were actually born in the parish.
Oh, and they were born in Ballymun. That's cry. So they come and played for us. And they, to get 4 or 5 from another club now, they'd been ordinary players. They were nothing special, but they were at least the world players.
Tommy Crossan and Danny.
And they come with them. Dan McCross.
Thomas Tumney.
They were Dragish as well.
Right, okay.
They came sort of, Thomas McCrossan came in 61. Dan was there earlier. Dan was along with the Collins earlier on. And then
lived near a convenience hall, so they're all fella nearly coming in one car.
Yeah.
I think it shows the enjoyment that you were all getting because you kept going.
Boy.
Yeah.
And
Kept going.
you got the jinx basically when you beat Trillick, and Jimmy Owens had a big influence
Jimmy Owens
that day.
had a big part to play. I can remember about that game. He just that time a square ball was a great weapon for a referee disallowing scores. So he disallowed a few goals for Trillick and Aghyaran maybe got a few contentious scores, we'll put it that way. So anyway, Aghyaran, maybe 10 minutes to go, got into the lead through Jimmy Owens' good officers, and he blew full time. And I mean, the boys running after him. Running off after him. And I wasn't at the next board meeting of the North Tyrone, and it was read out that Aghyaran had beaten Trillick, and it was a major,
Shock.
it was news, big
Yeah.
news. I was just now it to be on the Facebook and all that there.
Yeah.
Oh, and there
So
were videos
anyway,
of
that time
a
it just-
referee.
But really that was the start, because 62 then we were in junior and we won the West Tyrone Junior League in 62.
In 62.
That meant we were promoted. So in
Yeah.
63 we were intermediate. And we had a good year. Trillick won it, but Aghyaran was second, but they didn't get promotion. They were still intermediate.
They were still into it.
And 64, believe it or not, only there wasn't enough teams in the league, we would have been relegated.
Right.
Yes, because there were only 5 teams in the league, and that was only going to be 5 the following year. So they needed more than that. So we were down to bottom in 64. So we would, they said no, there'd be no relegation. So 65, we won the Late West Tyrone League.
Yeah.
We got 19 points out of 20.
See, Brendan Dolan was just starting to come
it
on
was
board
coming
at that
to
time.
fruition,
And
yeah.
the other boys were all starting to come on board at that stage.
Yeah.
And that team at 65, I'd read somewhere
Was that the
that
game? Go ahead.
you were all pioneers.
That's right.
65, every one of them.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Sean McHugh, I know in my case, I remember him come to Charlie Connolly and me after devotions one Sunday evening, and he says, "You pair of boys could be pioneers," and we said, "Oh, aye." So he went and got sheets of paper and he gave us the puns. that was us. But there was, you see, it wasn't like now. There was no pressure on you.
Yeah.
We had no money. Where were we going?
Yeah.
We had no money to go anywhere. So I mean, and whenever the only place you were going was to practice kicking in and out.
And
so,
maybe
I mean,
up the league a wee bit more.
Tell me, said we beat Fontana in a very important game that day, and Fontana must have penalty at the lower side.
we could have, we beat them 65.
Kevin Martin was playing very
Oh,
well
was
at that time.
Wild wet day, remember? We had the New jerseys.
There were two Gillespie, Sean,
Mark and Sean,
Mark and Sean.
yeah. And the Cunninghams, remember the
The Cunninghams, aye. You remember names.
Yeah, it's unreal actually. Yeah.
One of
Easy
our
remember.
better players that time was a fella called Paddy Kelly.
Yeah.
They were called him Mad Paddy, but he was Paddy Kelly he'd been from Corgrave, but I mean, the fellow was
That's
James.
why he was mad that if he was from Gargary.
But Paddy had played most matches that year, but the most important match was against Fontana, because Fontana was second in the league, and if we beat them, we were sure won in the league.
Right.
Paddy didn't come.
Jesus.
Wasn't there. That's why he's not in them photographs. He's not in them photographs, and he played most of the year.
He would have been a cousin of Joe Anthony's.
He was ass
Right.
cracking.
Cousin of Kelly's.
Did you ever find out where he was that day, or
Oh, drink it.
there was the pioneer?
He broke the mould of the pioneer team.
He broke the mold. Oh, he broke the mold.
Oh, Paddy.
So what positions did you play? Out of curiosity.
Positions.
What positions? of
Generally
the field?
speaking, when you started at Aghyaran, you started a corner back or corner forward. That's
Right,
what you
okay.
started. And you generally were the first man took off if there was a problem. Didn't matter.
That lasted a quite long time.
Yeah.
And I tell you about being corner forward. The team was getting hammered, so the ball never come up. So you were doing nothing, you were better off.
You become the victim.
Yeah.
The ball
Not through
wasn't
your own
coming up,
bad
so you had no-
feeling.
you had no chance. Corner back, you had a better chance because you were usually on the
Defense.
The receiving
Yeah.
receiving end.
I know in my case, the first time I ever played for Aghyaran Seniors was against Pettigo
That's right.
in 1964.
That's the Jim Mackin broke the leg.
Well, the next day he broke a leg. The first one was in Aghyaran.
Right,
We
that's
beat them well. spell in Aghyaran. I was left half back the first day, and I was left full back the second day. Brendan Geller was left half back, and Brendan was going for a ball, and he missed it. And Mackin went along to collect it, and the boy came in with a crunchy tackle and broke his leg.
Mickey McCann. That was 1964.
64. And you know the situation then. Paddy Dolan had a wee mini van, and Jim had to be got into that there, into the mini van, and tied up.
Yeah, he was taken to the hospital.
He was taken to the hospital.
And there would have been no gas or anything back then.
Gas?
Oh, nothing that time. It just
Sponge and a bucket.
Jim would tell you, because he's still got alive, his leg had to be broke 3 times that year. Wasn't nothing right
To
there.
reset it.
3 times.
Oh my good lord.
And so he would tell you, because we used to meet him at the Credit Union meet,
Yeah.
he said, like, that's the biggest pain he has at the minute, is that
It's
leg
the
is
leg.
broke. With him now, he's 50 years, 60 years
Yeah.
later. That's the last team he played for.
59
He was actually a
59
very
years
good
ago.
player. He was playing with Clogher
As our
the
first
previous
club.
year, and then as he's coming to, because he's coming to live in Aghyaran, he was a Forest Day manager, you know,
Right.
and he was staying with Paddy
61
Mid.
years ago now. 61 years ago now.
He was staying with Paddy Mid-Lynch's.
So he's from Clogher.
He's original. He's from
from
Armagh.
Armagh.
He went to St Coleman's and
In Urea.
Right.
somewhere in Armagh.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Market, where was it? Newton Hamilton.
That direction,
That's
yeah.
where it's from that.
Charlie, what position did you play?
Started out at corner back.
No.
Never forget it. Never forget it.
Who was your first team against
Well, the
you?
one team you hit, the Aghyaran hit it, and they hit it Arnie.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
But I was so green at it and all that.
Yeah.
Threw into the deep end.
There's a
never
bit of a
forget
history there,
it.
isn't
June, I
there?
think it was June 76. Which I was about. I wasn't 16.
I remember
Wow.
now hearing a story about against Ernie where it got quite violent and all at the end of it.
Yes,
That was regular.
that's a norm.
That was the norm, was it?
Well, in the 1964 minor league final, it was played in 1965, held over, and it was played about April 1965. Brendan had won the Hogan Cup at that stage. We met Ernie down in Strabane, and that match never was finished.
Right, good.
A row got up. It was our goalie got a hard tackle from an Ernie forward, and our umpire hit the Ernie forward.
And there was another one in 75, Gerard, was it? Was it the North Tyrone Championship or something?
Oh, I did a thing down in.
Then round Hollands.
That's right,
That never was
that's
finished.
right.
I don't know.
It has never been finished.
Never been.
I'm sure the
Well, no,
referees
not-
love those games.
Yeah.
1970 we played down in Celtic Park in Derry, but it was a now Rough Park then, but that's where Derry plays now.
Uh-huh.
And we played Owen Rose there.
That's right.
That never was finished.
Right, good up. That was the start of the troubles. I mean, the lots of spectators were shouting, you know,
Yeah.
violence and whatnot.
And Patsy, what about positions for you? Whereabouts did you start off?
Cornerback.
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 Patsy would have spent most of his time in midfield, round midfield, you know. But
They always did call you the big fella, I suppose.
Cornerback, yeah, that's where you started off. And that day we played Fontana, I was cornerback.
Okay.
And Charlie Gallen was fullback, and I mean, Kevin Martin
Frank Lynch,
sold him a dummy with the first attack, but that was the only one he sold him.
Charlie
Kevin
was a
Martin
very
was a
good player.
very good player.
You like Thomas Dolan, that wee fella for Aghyaran now. Charlie was very like him.
Very,
Yeah.
Very steady,
And I tell
great
you,
reader of the
that man
game.
was actually killed in an accident between Strabane and Derry, you know, a car accident.
Is that right, Kevin Martin?
Kevin Martin. He was brother Jackie Martin from
No, he did.
from, Omagh.
Oh, he was a good player.
They were Fanta people originally. I remember that Jack. And I mean them Gillespie or not. I mean,
Mark and
I
Sean.
got to know them, and you know, after that you get
Yeah,
to know them.
you do. Yeah.
And Cunningham's. Aye.
Oh, they're all right.
They're alright.
We were playing Fanta one day, and there was a boy McFarlane was a good.
Oh,
Fanta
Eugene
club.
McFarlane.
And anyway, Michael Dolan was delegated to man Markham, and that's what he done.
McFarlane was mouth, never shut his mouth. Referee! I'll tell you one thing, he goes from bathroom.
He got what you call a few
A
tough tackles.
chastisement.
Yeah, he
He was chastised.
He ended up playing with Dummeray and later years.
probably
We
would,
played
aye.
against him.
That's right,
He did
McFarlane.
it
He was a good footballer, but he had no sense. He was doing something that people weren't doing that time. He was taking a drink.
Right.
But we were very fortunate that we had dedicated people now because
Yeah.
there was nobody to lead us astray. Like Sean McGullagh or Michael Dolan, them boys there they would keep you right out there meeting. They would
They
give
were
you
taking
great
it
advice, you know.
seriously.
There was no eating with them.
Yeah.
And I would say that is why we got after a good start, you know. Like I'm not praising the Dolan family overly, but they were the centre of our
Yeah.
club at that time.
And good role models then
That's what the
too.
ball was kept then.
Always kept up
Yeah.
there.
There's Shade.
And there's there you go.
I remember walking from our house and walking up the hill at Chapel Bray, going up to the old shade, kicking it out for 2 or 3 hours. It was nearly dark, and then having to lay the ball back up in the shade again, and then walk back down home again.
Jeez.
That's true. I remember it as well.
Dedication to
You would up into that big wagon roof shade, and the ball was sat there. It was like saying, "Oh, brilliant! It's here." In case it wouldn't be there, because that was the only ball was in the area.
We were lucky.
That is unreal. Like to think that you only had the one ball
The old shade. That's I remember being in there.
for everybody.
Different ball game then.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the jersey. So you said we started off with like a Celtic style jersey.
But the green bands are thicker, deeper. There were only 3 of them on the jersey. We would have a photograph. Well, I haven't.
And not one man thought about poor women that had to wash these green and white jerseys.
The poor woman.
The poor woman.
And the washing machines wouldn't have been that good.
No, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Scrub boards back then. So that was there navy for a while then?
You see, they lasted a couple of years, and they would have been good enough jerseys, but they wouldn't be the quality that O'Neill makes nowadays. These jerseys, I think they're Elvery's.
If they got wet, they just stuck teeth.
They were very heavy.
You know.
Yeah.
And then they were
wouldn't be the same
heavy with
quality.
rain. They didn't throw the
That kind of material.
The buttons and the remember them? The buttons
They were short on tea.
Arthur Meehan had his for on to the 70s, and I remember asking him, we did an interview one night and asking him, and he says, I left it out in the byre because we're getting the stations and we're reading out things out of the house, and I left it in the byre, and the next time I seen it, there was a cow eating it. That ended Arthur's journey.
So, like, where did the navy come out of then?
No, it'd be just a sort of a stopgap job.
Right,
A cheap jersey coming along. There were some of them terrible, like we would.
No, it would be Grain, so you used to get a jersey from now and again in Strabane. Got a cheap jersey from some boy me Grain.
Oh, could have, surely.
They had a tailors or whatever you call it.
We even had a sort of a Queen's Park Ranger
I
jersey.
remember them well. The worst jersey.
Oh my
They would
God.
have stretched them here to the top of corner.
That's right. And then in 1970, we had a good side in 70. We knew we had a good side in 70. We were Division 2, and ultimately we were promoted us and selected to Division 1 in 70. But we had a white jersey. The first match was against Dungannon for our first match in 70, and we had a white jersey, and it was a lovely, nice jersey. Look, but when it got washed, it went from a sort of a 36 down to a 16 just there.
Oh, jeez.
Flat end of them. They were gone.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like now where the club could only afford with no money. Like to buy anything, you had to run a dance.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
right.
it was not like now at all. There was no funds anywhere.
And did Father Andy come upon the
He did. He came upon some crowd had bought those jerseys, the very first green and gold ones, and some crowd had bought them down by Donegal or that there, but they didn't pick them up or didn't. So he got them a bit cheaper, I think. They were good jerseys.
Oh, yeah, Father Andy get you a good deal, all right.
Oh, good. Like O'Neill makes a good jersey.
Well, they would have come in the late 70s, Gerard, with them green
Just before I would say about maybe 79.
Aye, because
When
the
we were in
green
that
white.
there.
I remember playing the green white, like the thick white
Well,
band.
my son was wearing his Aghyaran jersey there at the weekend, and I have a few Donegal friends saying, "Look at him there, isn't he?" he's supporting the right
Good
team.
man.
And that's where they originated.
And that's
that
where they
colours.
originated, yeah. So there you go.
Well, so like they won the first club title in West Tyrone Junior League 62, 65. The Pioneer team won the West Tyrone Intermediate League and again in 1969.
That's right.
And then in 77, Division 3 Intermediate League winners at that point. But the next big one then was probably
81.
81 with the championship.
I know, but believe it or not, Andy, the most important thing was in 70, 71, 72 and 73, we were at the very top league in Tyrone.
That's
Wow.
right, yeah.
We didn't win anything.
Yeah.
But in 72, we were joint second. Arbo won it, and Carrickmore and us were second. That was great achievements.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they were bigger achievements than winning the intermediate
Was that the
championship.
senior like you were talking
We were
about?
talking about the very top, like.
We met Arbo won the championship 3 years in a trot, and they met Aghyaran in the first round every year, which is unfortunate. And only scraped by us.
That's right.
The great Frank McGuigan was playing for them. And our Bow boys would say the only tough game they got any of the 3 years was against Aghyaran.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh, aye.
bad.
Brandon, same like Michael. Michael was, I remember him going out one day and he said, listen, you can do whatever you like in the championship, you'll not get sent off. That is attitude. You can do whatever you like, you'll not get sent off. You know, Brandon was the best midfielder in Tyrone. You were guaranteed a good 50% of the ball in the middle of the field, you see. That's a wild difference, like, you know.
Because I think I read, maybe it was yourself that said this, Gerard, about, was it James McCartan had come to
He
the...
come to Aghyaran in
and he's-
66, aye.
And he said about how tall.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Team, aye.
The size of them. Oh, well, we did have the Patsy was there, like Patsy, John Sisley, Sean McGoldrick, Tom McCrossan, Thomas, Brendan, Father Andy.
Was there Mick McHugh too?
Big McHugh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big men. There are a lot of men over 6 foot now.
Yeah.
Well, Jim McCartan couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Tallest teammate I've ever seen.
Oh, they're brutal.
So like, and obviously like with Brendan at the fore and playing for Tyrone at those times, and as you said, like maybe we'll probably get to it later about his death and the impact that had on the club, and that's what probably knocked us out of those divisions at that point in time.
Well, it took us a good 7 or 8 years getting over it, really, like, you know.
We could relegate it the following year, didn't we?
We could relegate that year, 73, yeah.
73, yeah. And
But again, having said we didn't blow. Like, we got out of junior football in 1962, and we haven't been back.
No.
That's
Not amazing.
That is an amazing achievement. Like,
Connolly can't say that.
No.
You know, Cookstown can't say that. Strabane can't say that.
Her.
Castlederg can't say that. But we're out of it since 1962 and haven't been back. That's not to say we could have been back. Yes, there were a couple of years we weren't great, but
Yeah.
there was always a
First match
determination.
after Brendan's death was our bow again.
Up on our bow.
That was the first match after
They didn't bet us very much.
A point.
Yeah.
2-6-2-5.
Yeah.
I remember listening to that on that. Do you remember the results? Who was it done the Radio Aghyaran results? Do you remember at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night?
Sean O'Sheacon, Sean O'Callaghan.
Sean O'Callaghan.
Sean O'Callaghan,
I remember listening to that result, waiting on to come on because we'd been too young to be there, like
yeah.
going to our bow. And I remember coming on 2-6-2-5.
Oh yeah, it was
Tight as that.
I know. Yeah.
Arthur Meehan listened to that programme on a Sunday night with the scores. And if you asked him who won a certain hurling match down in Tipperary,
tell you.
he could tell you who won it. He had a photographic,
Yeah.
memory.
Prior to us forming, there was an interest in the parish for football, for GA.
Yeah.
Now, problems with, getting the team's a different thing, and getting the club's a far different thing. They're all completely different ideas. Like, it's very easy to gather up a team, but it's very hard to gather up a club. Different thing altogether. Different commitment, different. Like, there's less rewards for a club.
Yeah.
Getting
everybody to pull together.
So you have to give credit to the boys that didn't play football but wanted to get the club going, keep it going. Now there's plenty of rows. Like Jimmy Owen's got a merchant poor Jimmy, but he could be cantankerous too. Like and of course the other boys knew how to keep him aggravated and things like that. There's plenty of rows and boys falling out and leaving. I remember there was a priest fellow Chesney came to Aghyaran. He was there in '62 when they won the junior league, and he bought a set of medals, and the county board gave them a set of medals. West Tyrone board. So they had 2 sets of medals, but he wouldn't go to one of the presentations of the medal, like, the priest. All things like that, I'd petty
Yeah.
thing.
Petty, yeah.
You're going to get them.
Yeah.
But the good thing was I didn't implode the club at all, like,
Yeah.
because
Kept moving
you had
forward.
enough genuine people
Wanting
that
to
could see
succeed.
over the hull, like, could see that there's a prospect here,
Yeah.
It's the same as now, even though we mightn't have a great side now, you still would say, well, that's the end, it's fold up the club and gone ahead, go away. Not at all. You always keep going on and on.
Plugging in.
There's too many good
Plugging
young
away.
players coming up.
That's
now.
right,
There's
you're always
We hope.
We hope.
So like the team picked themselves up again after Brendan, and in '77 they won Division 3. But it all came to a head like in 1981. That was the big one, the championship one against Coal Island.
That's right.
10-8. What's your
Tight
memories of
match.
that?
They led 5-0.
5-0. They got off to a
5-0.
flying start.
5-0 after 22 minutes. I remember standing on Barra that day thinking, we're not going to even get a score here.
Yeah.
We couldn't get a ball.
No, couldn't get a ball in the middle of the
We
field.
couldn't get a ball over the halfway line. Like, and
No,
you're standing point, and you're standing your head sounding around thinking,
Yeah, it was
at least get a score, boys.
Was this a
Yeah.
slope pitch as well, was it?
No, it wasn't.
But it shows you, like, we had more metal than they. Like,
They would have had us seen as a star-studded team. Like.
they had county men in different grades, like, in it.
Right.
Oh, they had surely, aye. We had Kieran McGarvey, but
20-1 outsiders, like,
Oh,
in a
wow.
horse race.
Jerry Halley was very good,
Brian Byrne.
Oh, aye.
John McLennan had the game of his life that
Yeah.
night.
Kieran McGarvey.
Kieran McGarvey.
And Celestine took a ball off the line.
He did.
Thomas and goals that day. So there's lots of good things happened that day,
Paul Byrne,
Didn't we turn it around 6-5 at half time?
I think I'm right,
We're 5 down. We
were 5 down,
And
aye.
I think it was something around about 22 minutes. We're 5-0 down, and in the last, let's say 8 minutes, must have scored 6 points.
We scored,
Because we were in 6-5 at half time.
We done leading at half time. Aidan McMahon was playing for middle of the field that day.
Yes,
Yes,
it
he
is.
told her.
Desi
I have a
Turner.
quote here from Aidan McMahon. It says, Michael Dolan won it in the only way he knew how to play, with honest, full-blooded endeavour and commitment.
Yes,
He did too.
Oh, I make a little lie down now.
And you can sit down, he was 40 that time.
Oh my dear lord.
Brian Byrne would have been 21.
It's quite a lot.
Glass over the
That was
hill
her,
now.
that was her midfield. Like.
And Paul was.
Brian was 21 and Michael was 40.
19.
In the middle of the field.
Unbelievable. I suppose Cristiano Ronaldo was that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
He just kept himself in the right shape, maybe. Because I always read about Michael was doing a lot of training.
You would
and
have got a lot more
running,
abuse playing for Aghyaran than you would for United, but.
especially if you're playing already.
Well, Michael was like it wouldn't be his finesse, but it was an effort.
Endeavour.
Oh,
He
aye.
just never give up.
Never give up.
Determination.
Never
just-
give up.
Yeah.
And he still, on to the day he died, well, I wasn't sitting on the day he died, but he was still telling about the time the referee was from Errigal, Mullen, Eamon Mullen.
Yeah, you know,
And he blew Michael for a double bounce. And it wasn't a double bounce, he was wrong. Because Michael went to bounce the second time, but it had his foot. It came up again. It through the hand. But the whistle blew because he said he was going to bounce her. But instead of hitting the ground, hit Michael's foot and come back up again. It wasn't a double bounce. And Michael still talks about that for a long time after.
Never forgot his name.
So does Eugene Mullen.
Oh, say, yeah.
And come here, what would be your most memorable match?
Well, probably, I know surely winning things shouldn't be the key thing, but winning things is important, like, you know. And suppose you go back to games that you won or trophies that you won. And probably the 65, the day we beat Clonton at Aghyaran. I was corner forward, no. I didn't have the ball twice in my hands, but it was a very important day because we were far, far better than them.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the first time because we walked through that league, except the first match we drew it with, like Patrick, but after that we beat everybody else. That is a very important match.
Turning point.
The championship certainly is 81, but really we shouldn't have been intermediate. We won it in 87 as well. That team should have been senior. Like, you know, they were too good to be intermediate. You know,
You was beating the English Name County Championship.
all them was big.
Was big.
Yeah.
I have to say it was big. It was probably played.
And there was a year you beat Trillick, wasn't it? And they were unbeaten that whole year.
We beat Trillick and Aghyaran one day. That was a
Oh,
big
it
one.
trounced them.
Aye.
We trounced them. Aye.
Beat them. Brandon was lording everything in midfield, but Thomas was keeping them going. He was at our back and he was shouting, who's marking this, who's marking that.
Yeah.
And Brandon just had enough. But I mean, Brandon dominated it because they had
Yeah.
Pat King and Brandon
King and
Dolan.
Brandon,
And Brandon caught everything.
Two county men, like.
County men. Aye.
Charlie, what would be yours?
Probably the first game I ever played would be probably the one that stuck in my mind the most.
With the nerves.
What you never want to stick to my
I
mind?
always remember Michael Dolan saying to me after on the famous slope when I was up in the right corner, like, and I was about 9 stone, like, you know, Barney Langan was still playing for Ernie, and I could see this giant coming towards me, like, you know, the ball was loose, and I was like, what do I do here? But you weren't going to pull out. If you had to pull out, you'd have been tired, so you had to go and get it, right? But luckily enough, he was at the end of his career and he was slow, so I had to pass him, and I was mind Michael saying to me after the match, you didn't know what was facing the air, young moss. You know, because I wouldn't have the sense to know.
You can still see it in your eyes. Actually, that by
I
going
can
towards
still
you.
see that big man.
Barney would have-
That was a wee skip.
I mean, I got a chance to took care of you.
That's what I knew. That's what he told me afterwards.
I'll tell you another thing I got great pride in. Won in the Ederney tournament.
Oh, wow, we were Donegal Town one day.
Big event that
It's still on
time.
the go.
Brandon Dolan was captain and he'd won a lot of things. He won All Ireland with the college. And when he presented me the trophy that night, he says, that's the one thing, he says, I always wanted to win because you're playing every summer up at
Oh, but now, didn't it?
and the Edgery. And we beat a very good Donegal Town team, full of county players.
Oh, surely.
But the tournaments were massive that time. The Devine Cup, Gerard, the old Devine Cup was
A thousand people at that final.
I mean, there was some Devine Cup was a big thing in Aghyaran.
Wow.
No,
It started in 64. The first
what
team to win it
the
was
Devine
Devine.
Cup.
Yeah, and
Right, it was Vine Cup.
You know, like
15% tournament,
there was
you
an
know.
awful lot of tournaments that time. We got one tournament, so it was great crack. You were beaten by smaller counties,
Yeah.
people that you weren't running into at always at club level, and you get to know people.
You know, bad pitch and all. We had what Ballinascreen, Ballern, Donegal Town.
In 67, they were in the final.
You know, you teams coming from all over. Like.
Yeah.
Irvinstown been there, Ederney. They're all big clubs that time. Like.
Yeah.
Inter county footballers coming to play on the slope. Like.
Oh, wow.
I can remember that as well. I thought that was absolutely
And you boys
unbelievable.
like
Yeah.
you boys like Seamus Tired and Tommy Gallagher who was midfield for Fermanagh at that time. You know, them boys were going to play home, and it was into the Herald. You know, big meeting in Aghyaran. You know, tournaments were big news that time.
Yeah.
See, your league, you've only about 8 or 10 matches.
Aye.
And then the championship could be 1 or 2 matches, depending. Then like, there was a lot of free time, not like now.
Yeah.
It's all different now, the thing. But the whole thing, then you had a lot of free time, and then there was a lot. That's why every area had
It was
a
organised.
tournament.
Yeah.
You know.
And I suppose it was a fundraiser too, would it?
Oh, aye, it was good money in it.
Yeah.
It was big.
It was a big
big
fundraiser.
crowds in Aghyaran.
Yeah.
Your father and Tommy Dolan and your own We'll be doing the gate. Your grandfather, I think you say, your
Eddie, that's
grandfather.
right.
Edward on
Eddie
the
was the
gate.
man.
Doing the gate, and then we had Tommy Dolan and Owen Devine. John O'Town was another man, and John O'Town used to go around in some of the matches, maybe
The hat.
that where John O'Town went down, cut off his cap and went up the side.
Collected in his cap.
Used to wear a wee full bit.
There were no gate on. He was trying to do a collection
gathering.
with a cap. John O'Town.
Regular.
Fair play to him.
Oh, we had good support, you know, that's one good thing we did have. Now, compared to today, we don't, there's 10 times more support within the parish now than it was in our time. There's really wee small pockets for getting the support
Yeah.
out of, but they were very strong support.
Yeah.
You know, they helped us
Especially
out
when you're
well.
bringing in big names to the
Oh, aye.
tournaments.
Yeah.
Well, the tournaments were big stuff.
You had Sean O'Connell playing there, hadn't you?
Right, and Charlie Gallagher.
Charlie Gallagher.
All stars at that
All-stars,
time.
like.
I'll tell you who was playing the engine that night was
Nolan Warner, an all-star.
He was an
One of
all-star.
He didn't have hair. I remember him playing the hair with blonde hair. I was very young, but I remember he had
And
a
the
wild
boy-
mop of blonde hair.
And the boy Boner from
Remember
played with
well
Donegal,
playing.
middle of the field, Brendan had some battles.
Who started the Devine Cup, Gerard? How did it
Oh,
come about?
1964.
How did it come about?
Well, Daddy and Owen bought it.
Right.
We bought it at Paddle £110. Pat Still, I tell you it. £110,
That's so funny,
1964.
1964.
And the first winners were Glentis. It was a 7-a-side for Aghyaran Sports,
That's right.
which has been sort of August. Aghyaran GA Sports, there were parochial sports would be held the first Sunday in June. The GA ones would be held in August. And Glentis came up, and Frankie Campbell, lads would be doing it on Wednesday. But Anne McNeese's, her brother Charlie, I think, played for
Right,
them.
right.
Charlie Ward.
There was local boys. They had a good. They won the sevens.
Oh, Frankie Campbell was
Yeah,
they were
that
Donegal minors, did it?
That heard about it somewhere. I was talking to your boy McLoone.
Right.
I was up with Eugene Gallen and went down to the pub, McLean's pub, and plenty of stuff. It was Harvest Fair was on it, and he was parking his van there, so I went into McLean and started to chat to him. I knew about him. He was on the so he remembers being up in Aghyaran. He told us how they found out about it. Somebody must have passed him out, and that it leaves Glentis and Goby Strabane. They couldn't go through, because that time
There was no
Clarky
border
Road was
roads.
closed, you see.
the roads were
no
closed,
border roads.
and you had you'd have to have bond in your car to get through. So they went from Glentis down to Strabane, through Castlereagh, back and found Aghyaran eventually. And
Wow.
the team, and there's a boy still living, a boy Pat Connahan, Frankie Campbell.
Oh, Campbell was a good player. He played with Donegal minors.
Terence Craig, and all that. I can mind them names because they were household names in Donegal.
Right.
And they won the tournament handy. Aye.
I heard a bit like Patrick in the final, Gerard.
That's right.
You remember that?
I probably do have it. The next year was Irvin's time.
I remember my mother took me up to that day. I just never forget it. Like, must have been probably one of the first matches I ever had.
That's right. Aye, we beat
Paddy Kelly was playing. Paddy Kelly was Charlie Gallen was captain.
That's right.
That was.
Oh, aye.
It must have been mid 60s, like.
Well, no 65, we beat Irvin's time in the final.
Tommy Keagney was playing a couple of McGee's, and they were playing.
Oh, they were,
Tommy
and Steve
Keagney was
McGarty.
playing with Tyrone, and he was teacher. And the two McGee's, one of them was killed in a car accident sometime later.
Yeah.
Another boy went to Dublin, went to university, and he finished up with a big job. And I'll tell you, there's another boy, what do you call the boy that he's dead since? He was a flyer for Charlie Gallen was at school with him.
Well, there's Stephen McGarty.
That's the boy, Stevie McGarty.
And Eddie, the full-back.
Eddie was the full-back, and Stevie was the flyer.
Oh, half forward.
Charlie Gallen got a job at marking him because Charlie was speedy and he was very good. And he's dead. Eddie's still living. I met him the time the fellow Sean McGrath died a couple of years ago. Met Eddie. I hadn't seen him see him occasionally, but still remember and still chatting with Aghyaran.
Yeah.
Frank Rogers was the first man to bring Everstown down to Aghyaran.
Is that right?
Aye, Frank Rogers was teaching, and Alan Rogers, the son there, writes in the Herald there. He came down, and might as well, he came down to the wife Claire, and Malachi Mahan was with him.
Mulligan's all right, huh?
Malachi was a very good man, a real GA man. I think he was
So,
chairman.
like, it's hard to imagine, like, it's all pre-social media and phones and things.
Chapelgate would have been the big one.
That's right.
Imagine that
Basically,
you
that
had
was
the
that was the meeting, like.
Frank
Yeah.
Rogers and the wife came down, and might as well Claire.
Spread the word.
Come down, he taught somewhere else then. And they come down to arrange, suppose they were inviting Aghyaran up to a tournament there, and then we got them back down to us. But phone now would have been
Oh, different.
a few messages, dinkle dink on them.
Generally speaking, Dolan's house was the focal point. If they wanted to, Fancy McKenna would have landed in a motorbike. If they were trying to arrange a match between Aghyaran and Edinburgh, a challenge match or something like that.
Yeah.
Fancy would have landed down the motorbike. Fancy's still living. He's 86, I think.
I hope they had more than one ball at that time as well.
No, I would say not.
I don't know when they doubled it up. I don't know when.
But just going back to that '81 championship one because that's when the club crest was designed then.
Charlie Allen. Him and Colette Rush was
It
it?
was Colette actually designed the actual drawing of the crest.
And that was placed onto the jerseys then that Father Andy had bought then.
I think it was actually sewed on. They were sewed on originally.
And who had that task, I wonder?
Don't know.
Sure,
I have some in the house yet. There was about 200
Crests. But a lot of that will go down to Charlie Gallen. Now, Charlie put on a big shift as manager. He brought a different approach to the thing, like, you know.
We were really down and out in 79, Gerard.
We're
79, one of the more recent times, we were nearly on the brink of not having a team.
Right, okay.
Right.
How come? Just
Injuries, emigration,
Boys
emigration
had a head off.
and injuries. And I can remember us going to Ballygolly to play Ballygolly, and a reserve and senior game, 1979, and we had I think 10 of the reserves had to come out and play in the senior game again, just to get a team. And I can remember
It's
so
hard
well
to
the
believe,
score,
isn't it?
the score was 9-19 to 1-3.
oh God.
I tell you, no, I was just thinking about
That's how bad it was.
Demoralising,
Really
yeah.
That's why Charlie Gallen was actually brought on in 1980.
they come
To
from
stab it down, someone had to be done. But we were lucky because there was a good minor team coming through.
the young fellas like Paul Burns
Burns,
come through, John
John
Penrose, John Gowan, boys like that, the Eugene Brown, they were coming
Johnny
through.
Brown, all them young boys came on in the 1 year.
And you had Jerry Hilley, who was a very good player, you know, made the play to be thrown often, but
We
he
had a
was.
few from the 70s.
And
The
Kieran
juvenile
McGarvey.
team. We still had McGarvey and Gerard Gordon, Gerard Gormley. Aye.
Jared Gorman was a big loss.
Big loss. He died in
Tim
76.
McGarvey.
A big loss.
They were still a bit about like
Big loss, aye.
So they were still there and they sort of but this
Yeah.
young minor team held us.
Oh, Dennis Jones crowd, aye.
Dennis
Cheered them.
Jones.
So
John-
Charlie
John
Gallen was
Evans.
able to steer them in the right
Oh, yeah.
direction.
And Connolly had
He
been
steered
there.
them in the right direction.
Good attitude to the whole thing, you know. Charlie was
Like
positive
that was
and
why there
everything.
was so big a gap in the age group of that 81 team. If you think about it, you were playing on it, Gerard.
Oh.
Michael was playing on it, you know, and then you had boys maybe only at 19, like Penrose and Paul Burn might only been 18.
That's right, he's younger.
He'd have been very young, like, you know, you'd have somebody playing at 40, Michael Dolan playing, like,
Yeah.
and you had about 4 or 5 18-year-olds, maybe 19-year-olds. But that we were lucky that got us really going again.
Yeah, kind of scraped by just and Charlie Gallen just came in at the right time.
I did.
He did. He brought a good attitude to the thing, you
That
know.
minor team had come through and was, we got a good number of players out of it. Like normally you don't,
Yeah.
but we got the sort of a fair lot of them boys stayed and played. You know, and that made a big difference. Like. Played on for a long time.
Yeah, that's a key word. You said stayed.
Stayed.
Yeah.
Aye, we did. They got a good run out of them boys.
Just thinking there, we're telling me how you get a wee bit of money. We used to run dances in Aghyaran
Yeah.
on a Sunday night. And you had £6 or £7 at the end of the night, you had a big night.
Yeah.
But I was just reading there last week where you see that fella John Taggart.
He died.
He died last week there. He was a big draw. He came to Aghyaran. I think he cost us £20 that night.
Right.
But we were on about 40. We had a mighty night with him because he had been well advertised and he was an up and coming young. He done well for himself, but he didn't do it. And then I tell you, we had concerts and we had.
I remember Bagatelle and everything coming down here. And
That's later.
that was later years, I know, but great.
This is alcohol. You're much too young for us.
We had Aghyaran, we had Cuba Duncan in it.
All right, very
concerts.
good. Yeah.
And we had Wally.
With Gene Stewart, but
Wally Lowry, you know, he was Rock Stewart. We had him there at night.
Oh yeah,
And we had Gene Stewart.
Gene Stewart came and the electric went off.
Electric went off.
So the band, that's no good to the band. You know, that's where I get Francie McHugh, God have mercy. No, he's dead now. Francie McHugh, Frankie
He played
did
the
it.
He played the accordion and the banjo.
He backed Gene
Backed
Stewart.
him. He backed Gene Stewart in the song that night.
Yeah.
There was a thunder and lightning, was that?
I electric went off an hour.
The show must go on. Eh?
So that's in around the 70s. But you know, you're talking about the Hugo Duncans and Gene Stewart's and I mean as well Wally Loughrey's, he was known that team, Rod Stewart or Rock, whatever you call him. I go up and he sung, and I tell you the other thing I do remember about Michael Dolan was there, and their boy Matt Corner, don't know where he's living or not. He was in the minibus and he charged us an astronomical sum of £7 for the taxi, for the bus from Strabane back up and down again. And Michael thought he was rubbing it, and we were expecting a fiver, but we still had money out of it.
Yeah.
And then we was saying to buy them jerseys and things.
You see, in 73, they started to sell tickets. Eamon McHugh would have been the main man,
That was a very
and
good-
there was a good lot of money made that time in 73. Now, that was unfortunately the same year Seamus Harvey died that summer. But Eamon had a team of sellers, and one of them was Willie John McHugh's wife. She was Midlinchie.
Mary
And she got a prize for selling the most tickets. and she was all over Croke Park, Clones, you name it. She was
Tyrone had a very good year. They won the Ulster Minor that year. The
Under
Ulster
21
under 20s, 21s, and they won the Ulster title. So we were going on with the bus at the time and taking a number of gear. There, what do you call them, McGarvey's there? Eileen.
Margaret Rush was on it.
Margaret Rush.
Mike would have heard him.
And Brady. They were out selling tickets. You see, the thing is, girls were about 18 and 19, and they were trying to get sell tickets to men.
Put off, but not somebody saying no.
Yes.
Arthur Meehan was down.
We're persuasive.
He was down selling them down the West Donegal, and he said the common complaint was that the prices is too high for the amount of the cost of the ticket. The prices was maybe, I don't know, maybe £1,000, and the tickets was maybe, 73 would have been decimal, maybe 10p. Like they were very low cost compared to the price.
Then Arthur said with another draw about the pound, and he stood outside Michael a couple of evenings a week, but especially at the weekend, selling pound lines.
Crazy one.
And he sold an awful lot.
You had good people like that, and Mickey McSorley was another good man.
Michael Dolan.
There wasn't one of her better ideas now.
At the same time,
£10,000 for a pound of line. Like.
Oh gosh, right.
We got out of it actually. Thanks to Mickey McSorley and Arthur, we got out of it. Mickey McSorley was
good man.
Went round pubs and whatnot.
He went away every day of the week for I don't know how long.
Yes.
We did end up making about 5,000 or something.
And see, Mickey McSorley never knew a ball stuffed or pumped. Like he never kicked a ball in his life.
Yeah.
But he still was one. His family was involved in that.
Yeah.
But City was involved, so I was one to get
Our first
involved.
big one in '83 was a big £50. I remember the car.
That's right, the car.
Yeah.
We 400 tickets, and they stopped Mickey selling them. Now we thought we'd never sell £450 tickets in 1983. And Mickey headed out. I'll tell you, used to go away and Jimmy Gormley. God rest him.
That's right.
And we were running out of tickets after a short time. That was the first. That was a real good one, Gerard.
That was a good
I
one.
don't think who won the car. Was it Terence Rush?
I went there anyway.
What kind of car are we talking here?
Ford Fiesta was.
Ford Fiesta.
It was good enough money to sell those tickets, wasn't it?
Oh, it was I.
Matt
could have.
I thought he charged too much. I never liked him after because I played football against him a few times and we weren't very nice to him.
He probably suffered for it.
He definitely did. He charged too
The
much.
studs were left on.
But by the 80s, you would have known. Like I was finishing football then. I played up in '83, the end of '83. We got back into senior football then that year. Won the Division 2 league. But you would have known the club the umbrella was getting bigger. Different parts of the parish, like different families were starting to get involved. You know, throughout the 60s and 70s, it was sort of a narrow group that was financing the whole thing. The dinner dance, for instance, the tickets was like they were selling. No bother selling the tickets for the dinner dance. They were held that time nearly always in the Highland Hotel in Donegal.
Around Christmas time or thereabouts.
And it was always held about 3 days after Christmas, and it was a big night. We mightn't have made a lot of money now, but it was a big night. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it was like looking for a ticket for an Ireland final.
They were
240 allowed on, that was it.
Yes, they were gone.
And they were gone.
Yeah.
But you know, the problem was eventually we were getting the 4-coat brigade.
That's right.
Who had no interest in the club.
That's
That was a social thing.
Social.
If you were at the centre
of the event of the year,
the centre,
you know.
that was big. You know, it was
Because the Highland Hotel had a good name as regards food,
Yeah.
and that's why they were treating their families to and then using
it was a
dinner dance.
very good place.
Oh, aye.
Everything was done well looked after.
Good band.
It used to be all decorated for Christmas and partly.
Yeah.
Looked at it.
I mean, the
Yeah.
white holly and all.
It was the place to be around Christmas. Go to the Aghyaran dinner dance.
Yeah.
Like the next one then after 81 was the 83 Division 2
League.
league.
We won that one up until that was the last game of the season.
Yeah,
Last game of the season.
They beat us in the championship after replay.
that's right.
That's right.
And we had to beat them up, and they were going for the double.
Aye.
You had to go there and you had to win.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll tell you the man that got the goal that night, the day it beat us. John Gowan got a great
That's right.
goal.
That's
Christ through from about 40 yards and run onto a ball and like a left foot he banged it.
Yeah.
Didn't they beat them with 7 points?
And we beat the man.
Which was-
I mean, his goal was the vital one because they were just nip and tuck. You just remember them wee small things.
There was a boy, Tommy Carr, box for
Ireland
Ireland,
Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
and he was playing for Clonot, and John Corey was there. Of course, he must have went into a tackle middle and hard. And Corey, he said, some of them said, "Come on."
He give you a heavy tackle.
Oh, something like that. He was going to go in and give him a doing.
But Gerard next year,
John McLean told him who he was.
Tommy Carr was just back to the Olympics.
there were a few boys encouraged him to go on. one of them was his brother, Martin. So that way there needs John said, how could go the wire I'd get at him. So then somebody advised him to safe or not.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not. It is killed.
I think that was the same day Liam Corrigan hit that day.
But Liam Carr, there's that way we went to Olympics, but Clonose, I mean, just casually knew him later on.
Yeah.
Clonose is number one. Yeah, the club was the club.
Yeah.
But if you were from Clonose, that was it. You hadn't a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
That was massive on that day.
Their motto was last to leave the field. As they said, McCabe used to say, the motto for Clonose was, we're the last to leave the field. Everybody else will be better off the field before we're leaving.
Big Joe
We're the
McCabe.
last. Big Joe.
Big Joe.
We're the last
just,
to leave the field.
Well, like after that, then in '86, we had the reserves won the intermediate league and the minors won the grade 2 league, and that's kind of like the younger
yes.
generation you're saying
That is
coming
right.
through,
Oh, aye.
which probably
So
led
this
to
is-
the
That would have been a newer
87.
group again.
That's
That would have
right.
been Kieran
Yeah.
McHugh's. Kieran
That's right.
McHugh's
Aye.
age.
Paddy Winnie.
Kieran McHugh, Paddy Winnie.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's
Stephen
like
Moss.
Sean Corey.
Sean
Would be
Corey,
on that.
yeah.
Or Sean would have played in that
Stephen
too.
Moss.
You would.
Stephen Moss,
And,
aye.
yeah.
Paddy Gallen, Sean Byrne,
Them boys
You
was
were
coming.
certain that was a
Seamus McHugh.
that was a kind of a near a good
So
era.
a good crop coming through.
He Mosses.
Stephen Moss could have been a very, very good player. No, that is a fact. He was
Oh,
talented.
good player.
Oh,
aye.
He was
He had
talented.
that crop coming through to help them win the championship
yes,
back in
aye.
'87. Then.
Aye.
When was Ral Young in '87? Like if you think boys were, the '81 team was only 6 years on, 5 years on to
Yeah.
'86.
Tommy was managing.
John Penrose and players like that.
He was 87, but that team should have been senior. They had plenty of skill, like, you know.
Yeah.
Nearly made it in the championship against Tulloch.
They certainly didn't. Tulloch would have
Tulloch would have been a big
been
outfit.
red hot favourites.
Right.
Like.
We run them to 2 points.
That's
A
right.
couple of
Kept
points.
rolling to a point in the match, and we couldn't get the equaliser. But they were probably more craft than us.
We
Yeah.
were a cuter
You know,
team.
we were
aye.
going up first year in Division 1, and
I tell you, that's the next
Oh, we
thing.
did.
At a stage, you'll have to start about money that will be made for to get the centre going too. So that's another.
I know,
that's
yeah.
Aye, we're
So
getting there.
That's,
We're getting
that's
there.
another one.
75 would have been the time that would have moved into the start of the new grounds. We didn't
Right,
get there to
okay.
79.
Right.
Our first match in the new pitch was against Donmore in 78,
That's
October
right.
78.
That's right.
But the trouble was, and Charlie Moss, Patsy knows as well, it was a level field, end of story. It wasn't. It was terrible. It was full of stones. There were stones.
Broke your, if it fell on, you know,
It's full of rock up there.
All them big things wasn't taken out of it, you know. It was Enterprise Ulster did it.
And the thing is about the enterprise also, there was really no
No managing of
no
it.
management.
It didn't cost us anything.
It cost us nothing, but it did in the long
In a
term.
long time it did.
there's one of the employees telling me, see when it come to 4 o'clock in the evening, if there was a bar of concrete anywhere,
That was
shoveled into the ground and the clay was through the top of it. And that's basically where we ended up playing on.
Because when Prunty came along in 95
94, right?
or 94, you want to see the stuff he dug out to drain that pitch, like,
this
you know.
rock.
Like a half a block by a lump of concrete stuck to it.
And
Buried,
rocks.
just had to be buried in the ground.
Oh my good lord.
You couldn't
And
believe it.
there's local people who were looking after it. They had no they just they were getting a week's pay and getting away to up there.
Yeah.
No respect. They could have done a good job. An area maybe twice the size of this kitchen, a load of gravel was healed up, and that should have done about a lot of ground. It was just levelled out. So there were places very, very dry, and then you stepped off the dry place onto a muck. You know, could have the stuff was there to be used,
Yeah.
but they used it wrongly.
Yeah.
So that was a '78. That pitch was put in like by Enterprise Ulster.
Was
And then how
finished
long?
by that time.
Was it October?
October they played enough more. That was the first match.
The last match of the season.
The grass was that height.
Right.
It was terrible tight. Like it was just you'd have known even then it wasn't right. Like
Yeah.
And how long did you play on the pitch
we
like
played
that?
Well,
you know?
to 94.
94.
Wow.
She gathering enough money.
Yeah, to get it fixed.
The club was going.
But then we bought it. Now it was still up at
Gerard,
the council.
Oh, quite high.
We bought it. The club bought it back in about 1988.
Whenever-
We didn't actually own it. Technically, we didn't own it.
Right.
Still, a sort of council.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough that in 94 there was Ulster says no, and the DUP boycotted going to council meetings,
Yeah.
and that's how we got the pitch. The council moved the pitch back to
There's
Aghyaran.
nobody there to oppose.
Nobody there to oppose.
It would have been opposed. I can assure you, only they weren't.
There's 4 of them not there.
Ulster says
The
no.
thing about it was it was a unionist majority council was the band that time, believe it or not.
Right.
It was an 8-7 unionist majority. We got a report done by Peter Hart,
Yes.
Mickey Hart's uncle. He was an engineer, but he was president of OCGA at the time, wasn't he?
Ah, Peter was.
So he did an engineer's report saying it was going to cost 40-odd thousand to leave it right. So when that was sent to the council, that might have sort of swayed them a bit.
They knew they weren't going to spend that money.
That's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
So then.
We got it back for 9,000. We bought that whole actually the ground where you see it today, the
Yeah.
whole area,
Yeah.
for 9,000,
Oh my goodness.
which was generally donated by a few people, including this gentleman and a few. Who else, Patsy? Who donated money to buy it back.
There were
The club
9
didn't
people.
have- the club
9
didn't
people
have
for
to
a
buy it
thousand
back.
apiece.
Right.
That was just about
Yeah.
88. But
That's foresight to do that.
First to get the place.
That's how it was got back.
That's not
Yeah,
one of the
didn't
most
cost them
major
any
things.
money, just
But
benefactors.
there were just people in the parish that had an interest in their club. And that.
But at that stage, this is now 94-ish, I remember the senior team players, and I think the captain might have been Kieran McHugh at that time, they were continually complaining about the quality of the pitch. The pitch was bad, like the pitch was bad. Everybody knew the pitch was bad.
Summer weather.
It's like a rock, real hard, and the winter time it was boggy. Not boggy, but dirty just. And I remember Charlie Moss was chairman. I think you were chairman. And you said to him, well, I used to put your money where your mouth is. Well, if you want the pitch done.
Yeah.
And they did. They certainly did. There was a lotto started. Basically,
There's a fort.
the footballers, to be fair to them, raised the money. They built that pitch.
We paid that 43,000 off in a year.
Wow.
The front test was 43,000.
On total, the day that Punty come to Aghyaran to do the pitch, Thomas Dolan was the man in charge of the finance.
That's right.
And he had 55,000 waiting to be paid to Prunty, to be paid in 4 or 5 different bank drafts. The money, and that is done from the lotto. The money was saved from the lotto.
Yes.
You know.
The lot
Now,
was a massive fundraiser.
you must remember the centre opened in March 1989, but it was blown up in September 1990, and it reopened again in March 1992. When it reopened, it was 181,000 in debt. I can tell you, 181,000 is a lot of money in Aghyaran
Definitely.
at that time. And this coming on down the track was this pitch, and they paid for it. To be fair to them, you know, they sold lotto tickets. But I remember Charlie putting pressure on them. I remember Kieran McHugh had been one of the men anyway. I think he was captain maybe that year and that. But they raised the money, or they put going round everywhere else. But 55,000 was waiting when Prunty come to do the pitch in '95. Thomas had it in bank. He paid it on bank drafts.
So we went from Charlie Gallen saving the club at one point in time
That's
to
right.
Charlie
No,
Moss
not
right.
really. No.
saving the club financially.
Thomas was-
I think so.
Thomas knew how to run things like that. Like, you know.
The first year I was chairman, Tom was actually not really involved in the club.
Not really, no.
Sort of
No.
been there for years, but I just sort of took this.
He dusted out of it.
I remember we were in a mess financially. I mean, a mess. We'd borrowed £100,000 out of the Bank of Ireland to build that centre. Like.
Hey,
Gee.
So tell us, how did you turn it all around from 181,000 in debt?
Well, this man's brother was in charge of the bar, Tommy Moss. I'm sure
Yes.
you heard of him.
Yes.
A very good work.
Tommy Moss? What?
yeah, if you didn't hear, tell him.
Never heard
Yeah,
of
you heard him.
You're a very good man. It wasn't just Tommy Moss. It was a whole lot. The whole club was focused on the thing.
Yeah.
He's
And,
management entertainment. Management entertainment.
That was the turnaround. By 1997, we had a £100 ticket draw, which the draw was on October 1997. And by that draw, we were in the black. The 181,000 was gone.
Wow.
Repaid. And we ended up, unfortunately, the woman who won the 10,000 that night, we couldn't use her name because she was on the dole. And she had lost the dole or lost Ben. We couldn't name her, so I haven't won anything.
There's always a loophole.
Oh, no. But that'll show you. Like, I can tell you that Aghyaran
So what, 5
committee,
years?
the committee, and that's
Wow.
we're 3 of them, but there was a lot more. Michael McSorley wasn't there at this stage. Michael Lowe's not there at this stage. They're dead.
Very, very good.
Made 70,000.
Yeah.
I think we ended up with about 40 profit. No, 40 left.
Yeah.
On the black.
He said-
The 181 was gone before we had that draw that night. Peter Canavan dropped the ball.
I mean, the 181, you mean that was on
Yeah.
Aston Square. Oh, it's mind-boggling.
That's right,
Remember
yeah.
that? Oh, mind-boggling.
He actually requested to come to a club meeting. Remember that?
He requested to come to a club meeting.
And of course, the financial report said it was bad. Like.
Times was getting better. I'll tell you why. The Long Case was closing, and the boys were getting out of Long Case, and we were getting plenty of functions.
Yes.
You know, and there wasn't any trouble. The troubles
Yeah.
sort of had gone down. So we didn't have the same problems you would have had in the 80s.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it was the club members themselves that got us out of bother. Oh,
Do you remember Sean Curry's homecoming?
Yeah.
Well, that's a
big
sort of- I mean,
money.
you
Like.
were-
Maybe 700-800 in the hall that night.
Wow.
700 then maybe.
Yeah, couldn't believe it.
Bung to bung. Then Tommy had a Celtic.
Oh,
nights, couple of
Charlie and
Celtic
the boys.
nights, mighty nights.
But to be fair, the lotto was the thing probably did get us on our
The lotto was the
Yeah.
thing.
That got us on our feet.
And you used to lift away pay lotters. And do you remember a few nights it was up to 1,500.
That's right.
I hit the 2,000 mark.
This is before the British lotto yet come in then.
We were the first. Nobody in the area was doing the lotto. In Castle Derrick, there was nobody doing it. There was no
Right.
lotto
We were
in Aghyaran. Like we were the first outfit in the town. Like Denny's, we'd have left 50, 100 maybe a lottos or the Dunnies, the week days, the McLunchies, the 4
Yeah.
gin, everywhere. Like.
Yeah.
You were coming in with a big arm full of.
We done 1,300 lottos, spent £2,000. Remember, and it was perfect because it was the week of Christmas. It's that Christmas week.
Yes.
And we left at £1,300 that week.
Wow.
It went over to 1,400 the following week because it didn't go. It went to 2,050, and I think it went then. Rosemond Dalty won it at around £2,000.
But you, after so many weeks, it needed to go because then people started to chat about it.
First time it was run, it went the very first night we had it.
Right.
Mark Connolly was his brains behind it because he'd seen it down in Fun Valley.
Right. Okay.
Second week it didn't go. The third week it went.
That's right. We lost the first 3 weeks. We lost 2 lottos.
Thomas, he did.
And the Doom Merchant's right. This is going to clean us.
So we're pioneers in the lotto
But
as
I
well.
tell
That's
you-
what you're saying.
I remember the night I suggested the £100 ticket there in 1997.
Oh, Thomas.
Are you mad?
Are you mad?
Let's just thought we'll give it a go anyway.
But get back to those lottos. John Francis, Shannon and Bernie took all the big box of lottos away with them and a pile in every thing, and they had opened all them. on
open
Monday
all
and
them.
Tuesday night.
Some work.
So therefore, you talk about the club.
Commitments.
There was
everybody.
there was
Aye.
the
Club
£20
workers.
bags, like, you know, every week.
We had a very
John
lucky
Francis
escape.
Fraser.
We had a very lucky escape in
Come.
1997.
We had a
Say the beginning of September, middle of September. The big draw was going to
2
be.
weeks before the draw.
That's right. It was going to be in the end of September, beginning of October. And a notice went into the Herald. All returns to be in the centre for Thursday night. So we thought, well,
Guess what happened on Thursday night?
after the meeting when all was over, we were broke into.
Jeez.
And there was,
Advertised it, yeah.
there could have been up to 30 odd grand on it. The good thing about it was John Francis McHugh had it home with him.
We sat in the change. I remember us sitting in the commander room. Left
Oh,
I mean, load of money, like nothing. And I remember we were sitting there. So what are we going to do with it? I remember we were there. Hey, sitting like, what are we going to do with this money? Like, what are we going to do with John? I know John F. Like,
Aye. Yeah.
Oh, he's.
like maybe I'd be better taking it with me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I
not.
think we'll with a bit, but we'll put it in the safe. I don't know whatever because we had a big safe.
We had a big
That
stone.
wasn't-
Oh, yes.
that
yeah.
wasn't for
a
moving.
chub safe, like it was no chips.
Big, massive, heavy thing, like.
Ton and a half.
But they were thought I'd managed to toss her over.
They tossed her over and they had a
the back of her.
candle and they opened the back of
back
her.
of her.
The good thing about it was there were a couple of checks in it. They raided the slot machines. They got £300 in coins out of the slot
Yeah.
machines, and then they got drink. And the way they took it was they pulled it up the length of the football pitch.
Wheel the wee trolley, you know them wee 10-wheel trolleys?
I remember my blue trolley.
You would put the boxes of beer on it, you know, say 4 boxes of Budweiser, and they wheeled it up the pitch because you could see these 2 wee narrow tracks going up.
The police said there were 6 in it. They knew the different footprints. And he said, the boy, I remember the policeman for that. We were over that morning. And the policeman said, I'll guarantee he named the boy from Coleraine and on it.
They got out a few days before.
He got out. He says they're going to have a big party. They were having a big party last weekend because he's due out on Friday night.
Right.
Remember well.
Jeez, John F. saved the day, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Today.
Oh, we were gone.
Just something was telling him inside his head, I need to take this
I
one.
don't know.
that night.
But John Francis is a very good club of excellent.
We had file cabinets in the committee room, which were just for documents, like.
Yeah.
And they even came up on the nail bars and the file bar and the nail bar that the file cabinets open.
They probably had information, but they hadn't total information
But she
because.
put in the paper was making it public.
Yes.
That's right. But you know the cameras, we had cameras in the hall and that, they had them all turned up to the roof. But them cameras weren't working. So they didn't have, it wasn't an inside job, like, you know.
Yeah.
We knew they weren't working, they were pointing,
Right,
but they weren't
okay.
working. They weren't recording.
Yeah.
They were working for the man in the bar, but
Would have been a very sick handle.
Oh, it would have been
my
terrible.
God.
Imagine that, 30-odd thousand.
Somebody scanning the Ulster Herald just to look
Some
for the
keeping
next
an eye on
score.
things. So some shoot operator.
I mean, club notes come to the.
You would still
have the
feel like
money-
somebody-
have the money in on Thursday night. Was the draws.
Somebody told them something.
Somebody told them something.
Yeah,
and I put it
but-
that way.
Yeah.
So just sum this up, like the centre itself financially was a massive boost for the club,
aye.
but also in like a social aspect.
Oh, yes,
with all the
that
different
was
nights
indeed.
out, and even to pull a lot more people into the club.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, back in the early 2000s, we would have been probably maybe grossing nearly £3,000 a week on average. But it had about 140,000, I think, one year, around about 2001
Between
or
140 and
2002,
150.
Wow.
which is a lot of money. Like the break wasn't
Yeah.
that dear that day.
No.
And just before that, in 1999, we had the double winners, then the intermediate and the reserve.
Yes,
league
indeed.
team, like, which really
Uh-huh.
helped.
That's right.
That was a massive
Where's
day.
that?
That
It was.
a massive day.
Oh,
With the
yes,
Bracken
indeed.
won the last league game.
Yeah.
That was a massive
What do you
day.
remember with that?
Oh, everything.
Very
Well, you see, that's
We got hammered.
Noel McHugh videoed that. That wouldn't have been a video of that match.
Aghyaran were just starting to come with their own Devine's making Landis.
Them young boys were
Yes.
The difference was we had played them in the championship.
You had half a dozen good boys just coming in at the right time.
Played them in the championship final.
Draw.
To a replay. Hammered us in the replay.
Yeah, 5 goals in it.
Right, hammered us. And then the last match of the season, Aghyaran playing Brackenville. Both unbeaten in the league. So Brackenville were going for the double.
Okay.
Come to Aghyaran, all guns blazing, like, but their guns were put out.
Kieran McGarvey would have been the oldest player then, and he had a very good match. Like, he was full forward, more or less his size. Like, was,
Yeah.
There was an Anthony Devine kicked a very vital free that day.
Yeah.
Up the right hand side. We only
Never
won.
heard of him. Who's he?
We only won 9 points to 5, Gerard.
Oh, it wasn't much, no.
9 points to 5.
It was
but
tough.
I
Like,
mean, they were a flying machine. Their forward line absolutely obliterated us in the championship.
They were up early, so
I mean,
they were
the-
good,
the early in the woods.
Squeak would have been on that team. Like,
Mickey Squeak, yeah.
yeah.
And that was a massive
With
game.
a good decent team. And
Oh, we had.
Big Andy McSorley was playing that team.
Yes.
We could have banned
fair
on
player.
that. Still after the match, we put a band on the stage that day.
Yeah.
Kevin
Man,
Skelton was the man
swear
who
there
presented the cup.
Hundreds
That's,
of people there. That went
the
on. Do
referee.
you remember? I don't know if you were there.
I pay Eddie
I can't even remember who the band
that
was,
day.
but we just randomly got a band. Probably Frankie, I would assume. And Charlie and them. And the celebration went on. I mean, the place was bunged, like.
Yeah.
Because there was such much hype after they could in the championship, and it was one we had to win, like, to get to senior football.
Plus the reserves won and helped.
The reserves won they won up in front. I remember they won the.
They won the league and championship.
So really, like big days out like that, where
Oh, we had
football
some-
yeah.
match, and then
We
you
had
had the
some great
social
days.
aspect to it.
That was a great thing about it, but
Aye.
one complimented the other.
Yeah, but like that doesn't really happen, no.
No, that's the sad part of it. It's
But
all gone.
what do you think is?
I'm not close to the wire, so I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't
I'm
tell you.
not close to the wire together just now. New people have moved in.
If your players don't get a habit of being in the club,
Yes.
you know that group
It's
of boys.
hard to pull them.
That group of boys that grew up there.
Yeah.
You see on a Sunday night here
Yeah.
after the match, like
It was packed. I remember it packed,
packed, like,
every
you know,
week.
every
Yeah.
Sunday, and that was you look forward to it. Like it was
Yeah.
a great day's crack, you know, slagging and boys.
Yeah.
And then the team was doing well; they were winning, and that was a
Yeah.
big difference. You know, it was all the footballers were all
We were
there.
senior football that time right, for 11 years. Division 1A. We were 11 years there.
That was our
That's some going for a wee club.
you know.
Yeah.
And then Charlie used to run the festival every year.
Yes.
It was a
Right,
big week.
That was
And a
actually
money-making week.
Yeah.
That was a big money making at the start of 30 years. Very big.
You mind the time that the tickets were sold for running
Then it
Charlie
was
on
on
the
his
airplane?
airplane, aye. That's
That's
right.
right.
Aye.
Then he flew them back over. Then we had the festival Sunday, and he took them down his hill and flew them
Right,
back
back
over.
over.
Flew them back
Ray
over the
Richards
pitch.
was one of them, wasn't
Ray
he?
Richards,
Richards,
and Rosanna Penrose. I don't know who the third was. Was there three? I think there was
Wow.
three.
You had the ideas, Charlie.
I loved making money. I it was all going to come crashing down if we hadn't made money.
I
You see,
know.
the thing was, and I often said this: you were far better in debt.
Well, Thomas would have been the minister of debt.
You had
but
far
there's-
more spirit when you had your and
that's
you,
right.
like we had to have £2,000 in the bank
Yeah.
every month. There's
That's
no
right,
question of not
2156
having
was
it.
it?
You know,
Yeah.
you had to have it, so you just
you had to come up
you
with
had to
these
do your ring,
ideas.
like, you had to just keep.
You see, when we got
some of the craziest things.
Thomas would come into a meeting.
Duck Derby.
You have nothing else to lose.
We
that's
up
when you have
Derby
to
down the
invest.
river.
Duck Derby.
See the man over the wee bridge at the plastic ducks. You're too young, eh?
And
You know the wee church at
I'd come on there.
I know that wee church.
And on
Went
down
over the
there.
bridge, and then they come out down at the red somewhere.
Stopped at our feet down there.
Patsy but sheepware across the river. Then they started the first duck home. Then got
I think this needs to be brought back.
I think so. Yeah.
The thing is, it was a novel thing.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
But hey,
Danny
hey,
McCurry.
it wasn't much fun. You had to go into the river to get the taking ducks out again.
But you see, the thing is,
Stuck everywhere. Then stuck
they were stuck
the
in briars and whatnot. But you know, like you might as well down the river, and the whoever first duck goes down. I can't know what's out now, but it was great crack. They
Yeah.
were down the river,
Everybody's doing the rubber bank.
Everybody, you see,
Down to Connolly's field.
there were a number on every duck.
Yeah.
There may be 400 ducks. You see.
Danny McCurry, we actually bought 2,000 ducks. Danny McCurry bought them.
You had a big sheet of paper there.
And they were black bundles there, bags.
901,
You carried them back.
902. So you knew what number was on your duck.
You do. Your number was up.
You bought it because it cost you maybe.
When we done a bank, we had the centre half built, 85 we started, got the Owen put the steel up, we got the concrete base in, got the roof on, then that was it, there was no more money until we done the fundraising. You remember us wrapping the blue tarpaulin around
That's right.
the girders and held the bingo.
There
Walls there. There was no walls like.
No, that was just open.
Open with the wrapped about
On Devine got a priest up from me.
Oh, you're a father Connolly.
No, that was the second one.
That was the second one.
That was the one that.
Then there were bingo on a Sunday, big prizes. Made a lot of money.
That was the first one. Was the one that before when the centre was actually built the time we done the second one.
Aye.
But we done one. We done one
not just out the fresh
Look like
air.
a good day's weather like.
Yeah.
So, somewhere around 1985, the building starts for the Aghyaran and Davog's GAA Centre, the centre. And somewhere around the same time, Mick McSorley gets his idea to take the clay over and start building the hill at St Carol's Primary School. And fast forward a few years later, in 1989, the 3rd of March, finally our GAA Centre opens. Now, sadly, we've lost both Michael Dolan and Mick McSorley in 1988, but their dreams have come true and the centre opens for the club of Aghyaran. And then around 1990, we had the rededication and blessing and the renaming of the pitch to the Michael Dolan Memorial Park. There was a challenge game that day between Tyrone and Donegal. It was Easter Monday, the 16th April 1990. So what can you tell us about that, guys?
As Michael's do that. We had Donegal 85.
85.
We Donegal twice. We had them in 85 and 90.
Bishop was there.
Remember,
was there,
we were trying to drain the pits of water was still on.
Oh, mind as well.
Seriously bad day.
Lord.
Instead of opening it, we should have been closing it.
Yeah.
We were running.
Well, that was fundraising again. Tried to raise money. Like.
Yeah.
And then we got raised the money.
that time.
And that's why we ended up in the slope pitch. Well,
That's right.
less of a slope.
Yeah.
That'd be 94, 95, or 95, 90. 96 we opened, remember, for the, was it 2 matches?
The hurling final played before, believe it or not.
There were hurling final played there.
Can't even remember who was playing on it, but there was a hurling final played in Aghyaran.
Well, I tell you, Drumcullen and Carrickmore played, and because we had a new pitch, probably the best pitch in Tyrone,
Yeah.
and no other club would give their pitch. So the two teams came to Aghyaran.
It was totally
And but a
smooth,
big
like
crowd.
carpet, like for playing hurling on.
Can't mind who played the hurling.
I'll tell you who refereed it. Henry McNally from Moortown.
That's right, aye.
But I can't remember who was playing. It had to be obviously Carrickmore or somebody. The day we played fundraising game against Donegal, the first one in September 85, 15th of September was it? 14th of September. Following day, TJ Loughlin's dozer come in and dozed the ground.
All right.
I remember me and Tom McGee standing, well, I swear that just there now where it was. Remember the dozer coming in to start. That used to be a sort of flat ground, remember, like a wee bit of play park or something there. Thing. I remember the boy coming in the next day after we played Donegal and the dozer started and dozed that ground where the centre is now. I always remember that, me and Tom McGee standing there.
I remember Sadie McSorley saying this about how Mick had said about how the clay was that great, and they thought we'll do something over at the school, and hence the hill became the
Her
hill.
man now.
That's
Gathered
right.
stones on it.
Gathered
I
stones.
I gathered stones at that school, me and Dilly McCrory. He went in us up in the town today and he says, is he doing anything? And of course I said, my big mistake, I said no. He says, Mickey's up here with a tractor and a link box. He says, looking for a couple of boys to get my hand to gather stones. And up me and Dilly went to that with that school patch last night. We started gathering the stones up. Mickey was there with a tractor and link box.
Well, Mickey's a good man.
Sorry, done an awful lot of work for the parish. Voluntary.
Like, he didn't play, so he got no kick out of that side of it.
Yeah.
Well, funny, like, that's the next thing I was going to say. I was like, there's a lot of people who's like donated their free time, helped raise funds, prepared food, cleaned, drove a bus, gave a lift, took training sessions. List goes on. But these volunteers were legends as much as the footballers were in those cases. Like, and Mick McSorley is one of
He's
those.
one of them, yeah.
That's right, legend.
Eddie Moss.
Eddie
In the early
Moss.
days.
Eddie Moss, another great worker. And Paddy McLaughlin.
I can remember Eddie Moss stopping at our house in a black Morris Oxford or Noss from Cambridge.
Jump on.
And it was under 16s, because it had to be 1973 Tommy was playing. And the car was, you wouldn't have seen it with people stuck on the back of it. Taking them, drawing them to a match. There was no transfer like so.
Eddie.
Probably one would have been another man, would have been probably two cars that made it to the team. You know.
That's the Aghyaran people just coming together.
Just helping.
Oh, yes.
The scene, something had to be done and they done it.
Yeah. There's like some other legends, like even some of these are footballer. Just probably just want to throw some names out to you and see what kind of memories you had. And well, the D-men is, I think you called them maybe, Gerard, the Dolan brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was not only just Brendan and Michael we talked about, and Thomas, but Father
Oh, the
Andy
same
like,
as all
together.
others.
Oh, aye. Oh, aye.
They were they were no reverse gear.
They only moved
When they were
forward.
with you, you could say what you liked and you'd have got backing.
But I mean, in the early days, no matter where you went, and you said, if somebody said to you, where were you from? You said, Aghyaran. That's the Dolans.
That's the rule.
That was just, that was the answer. That's the Dolans.
That's the Dolan.
Country.
Because if you were in Arbo and Arbo would be classed a tight place, like Thomas or Michael or Brendan or Andy or Phil Eugene didn't play that much, but they played it when he came home. They did not back down.
No.
Yeah.
You know, if a man needed to be taken care of, he was taken care of. It didn't matter where it was at.
Even I'd read somewhere they played a game against Strabane and Father Boland was playing.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
Father Andy was hitting hard.
Oh, he was.
Towards Father Bold.
It would have been unusual for Father Andy not to have her.
We were playing at Cranach Sports in 1969, I think it was. We won the sevens, but in the final we must have been leading by about 20 points. It was Owen Rose were playing, and it was just Brendan was in the middle of the field, and it was
Dominant.
he got the ball, and then he gave it to Harvey Muse, the two forwards. We must have got a cricket score, but anyway, near the end of the match, with no need for it, we were trying to get out of it middle of Clanny, you know, because there was a lot of rivalry, and this boy was called Dozy Kelly.
Oh, man.
Those Kelly.
And Father Andy just wrote him off. It was the last thing we should have been doing. But if you listen to the Father Andy, he'll tell you it had to be done. No, it hadn't to be done that day.
A black card, at
Oh
least.
Lord! That we're all in Michael's minibus, and the man it was. Whenever we got to Cran the field, Patsy McHugh, be Sidney McSorley's brother, he's dead, and I got him here. Michael said there's two, a puncture and a shaft wheel, and he says, could you get something done about them, Patsy? And he actually, when we come back after the matches and that, he got the two things fixed. And I don't know where he went or what he done, but he got them fixed.
Man on a mission.
Oh, he was some boy to have with you.
There was another story I'd read somewhere about Brendan Dolan, that he wasn't playing against Trillick in '66, but he ended up confronting a priest.
The priest on the line.
What happened
That's
there?
right, but the priest was mouthing, you see. If you were, I would have been afraid of a priest. If you wouldn't think they could put a spell on you or something like that. That's how innocent we were. Brendan wasn't one, but afraid of him. The priest was mouthing up the on far line, like, you know. But we were dirty. I thought, we weren't that dirty. Like, what Brendan was, I don't know why he wasn't playing. Wasn't been injured. I was suspended. He must have been. But Brendan took the umbrella off him. He was wagging the umbrella. No man, we shouldn't be wagging the umbrella. Brendan took it off him.
He had no fear. Well, I suppose he had a couple of brothers that became priests at some point. So.
Well, they weren't one,
Remember
but
was it Barrett?
That Father McPartland.
He actually clocked Danny McCrory.
He clocked, he did.
Wild Tech was a game we had won. It was a
That's
league
right.
deciding game as well.
That was we were a point down
That's right.
into injury time, and
We had a draw.
Paul Byrne kicked a free from about 65 yards, and then the ball's kicked out, so back in again, and we got a 50, and Kieran McGarvey
McGarvey.
kicked a 50. Patsy McGarvey's brother and a couple of them they went home, thought the game was lost.
Oh God, right.
Then when they got back to Castleberg later on in the evening, they found out, because that time mightn't phones weren't too, but
Yeah.
found out then it's a different story.
We were in the dugout here and this boy came up and he was ranting and raving.
Oh, Lord.
And somebody said some of the next thing, bang, just clocked Danny.
Jeez.
Clapped him like, we didn't even raise it. We were so stunned, didn't raise it. Was a priest, but he was
Yeah.
a priest.
Yeah, and
Read him his last rites after.
the same priest made a name for himself later.
Oh God.
He was a daddy.
You told me that before. You told me that before.
Aye, sure, somebody
before.
Sunday World or some of them, Father
I was a
McPartland.
madman.
He was mad. He was
No,
mad.
I've seen a lot worse handlings and dugouts, like, you know, there's nothing even serious, like, they just must have lost it. We scored the point.
Yeah.
Like, oh, George,
We were stepping out, you know, what
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the face was
next
that
thing
colour
just
there.
boom.
Boom.
Unbelievable. Man of the cloth. Jeez.
So when we were doing these podcasts before with other interviewees, we heard about the Aghyaran fly.
oh yes.
So I was just wondering, actually, if you
1977.
any memories of that, or
About the 25th, 26th and 27th. Well, there's a Friday, Saturday and Sunday. That Sunday night we played Barrow in Aghyaran. But prior to that, there was in Passage Field. The Flow was held
There's that lump of clay at the bottom of the
Bottom
green.
Aye.
of the green. And then the car park was the field above it on the other side of the road. And I think what happened was Aghyaran would have had a good enough coulters at the time. There'd have been Jim Falls and Paddy O'Donnell and Danny Gowan, boys like that would have been involved in it. And Carrickmore was due to get it, but the committee looked for money of the Carrickmore publicans and they wouldn't give it. That's how it come to Aghyaran.
Right.
Well, you see, I suppose I thought the
time
people's
drink
coming to the
was
flag, they'll come anyway. Like, and
Yeah.
why should we be paying anything for it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, which is very short-sighted. Them, like, you know,
Yeah.
just shoot they didn't. They like, now I don't know how many of them refused, but they refused anyway.
Yeah.
That's how it come to Aghyaran. And Donald Dolan, he came earlier in the year. He came and
promotion of
recorded.
it?
That's right.
He came promoted, aye.
But that night there was a session in a big marquee.
Marky, yeah.
No, nearly all bloody night.
I remember climbing up the pole to put the light out. The bulb was out through it. Paddy O'Donnell put me up.
Oh, it's terrible.
You know the big centre pole, and we weren't how to get the light out through the put the bulbs to light up the field like.
Right.
I remember climbing up it with the light on the shoulder there. Like.
Rosemary Byrne.
No health and safety there.
And Murray McSharp and Charlie
St.
Dolan.
Michael's Killy Band there.
And you could name the band.
St. Michael's Killy Band.
Mary O'Donnell.
They went on. They did go on to Listowel that year. They've been a lot of good musicians now. I remember I wasn't videoing. I know video camera, but I was taping them.
Yeah.
Remember the next day, Francie and Anne Brawley, they must have been adjudicating. But anyway, the army arrived, come
right.
walking in, and you know, I thought, Brawley, he walked out and he just confronted them. What are you doing here? He says, you were in Carrickmore yesterday. What are you doing here today? And the boy was.
Remember the army?
The boy, he was a bit shocked that somebody that an old Paddy could come along and confront me because I have a gun with me.
Yeah.
But anyway, they left.
Right, okay.
They left after.
John Kerr was a special guest.
John Kerr was a special guest the first night.
I remember him as well, a white shirt and a green waistcoat on him.
That's right. And I'll tell you who found out that day. Seamus McGranahan was a neighbour of his.
Oh, aye. Well, John Kerr, from Kerry wasn't it?
Kerry Keeley is from
Remember him on the stage?
Aye.
But there was a big crowd now the Friday, Saturday and Sunday night.
And I think about a week before it, putting up the marquee and putting the floor in and James Paddy Collins, him and somebody wired across towards, the river came on at the bottom of the field. They wired across and somebody was out to get it. Well, not too much drink taken, but they could have wandered onto the river late at night or whatever. So
remember somebody come with a bar in the Sunday? Remember
somebody come with a bar and Jim Connolly was there too. And
I know who it was.
I'll
tell you, do you know who confronted them? We're just chatting a minute.
Who?
Paddy Grugan and Kerrymore.
Paddy Grugan was there too.
Paddy Grugan confronted them. But no alcohol here.
No alcohol.
Move yourselves on.
Move on.
It was actually in the Irish at the time that there was a non-alcoholic fla in AghyNarnia. Like, it was unusual.
Yeah.
Well, the Cultists would have been nearly all pioneers, Gerard.
Oh, aye, but the flas was
The flas were drinking.
the fla like was drinking drugs at the time.
Aaron Cultists would have been mainly pioneers.
Oh, aye.
Danny Gallen, Jim Connolly, and Colin Gallen.
Paddy O'Donnell.
So that'd be another first then, a non-alcoholic flat and a Aghyaran.
Yeah.
You ever heard the likes of it, Claire?
I know, I'm really shocked.
Shameful. Dan O'Donnell got the big kill.
Oh, he's
The
got
funny
done
thing,
well.
you see that quote last Friday night was in Aghyaran.
Yeah.
This fellow was sitting down for me, and I would work one of them fellas from the band years ago, and I hadn't seen him and I don't even know. But anyway, I said, I'm going to speak to him to see does he recognise him, but he did recognise. But anyway, this other fellow was in the squash team with him, and it turned out he was a nephew of Bridget Carden's, Dan O'Donnell's wife. And I said, what's your name? And he goes, Murphy.
And that's right.
He used to work in the bar when he was a cub.
That's what he did.
And I remember, as soon as he said,
Michael.
Michael
And
Murphy.
then the brother was behind the video there
He says,
telling
I
jokes.
worked in that bar, whenever I was a pub.
I don't
And I used to be in the bar. It was only about 14 or 15. They used
That's
to
right,
they used to
Michael.
came up for the weekends. Like.
Wow.
And we started telling yarns. And I was only 12:15. But he mentioned the fla. And I was in the fla. And the famous thing about Dan, I didn't know this one now. Dan had carpet tiles in the lounge, right? There used to be a wee lounge in Dan's. And Dan had carpet tiles, green carpet tiles in the lounge. And Dan heard of the fla. Dan went down and lifted the carpet tiles off the floor and stacked them away. Good idea, just to keep them safe. But the next week, somebody went into the bar anyway after the fla's over, and they said to Dan, you had some crowd last week. That wasn't a crowd at all. That was an invasion.
Brilliant.
Dan O'Donnell was a publican who didn't want a big crowd. He wanted a wee nan, but he
Yes.
didn't want overlay.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't change a gyro.
Right.
Right, okay.
No, he wouldn't change gyros. Like, people went there to get...
That's where all the boys had to go. When they drank, they had to go to Dan's. You see,
Yeah.
they get the drink like if they were at the fly and they could try it, so they had to get into Dan. Dan was packed. Like.
A bit of drink there, then, Claire.
There was.
Oh, that was. Well, I suppose Clayton was still there at that time too.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, brilliant. Like, probably another big thing was the score that happened over the years. Like, and a big year was 86. Sadie McSorley and Marie Carlin.
City and Marie
National
Carlin.
Stadium.
The National Stadium in Dublin.
And Michael Dolan and
These are all down there.
How was that alive?
What priest in Aghyaran you down with Michael Dolan?
Paul McGarry.
Paul McGarrigle.
That was like big now. Some film here that was announced. And
Yeah.
Marie was in the final as well. Marie Carlin.
Yeah,
so
she
was
got in the
like-
final. Yeah. She was singing.
I know Mickey went to Fallmcginn to get it announced at the Mass the next morning. Fallmcginn, whilst he was a great man, he might announce. Like, Father Gilmore was powerful for announcing things for the club. Father McGregor, Fallmcginn wouldn't have. They were their own thought. Like,
Orthodox,
chapel's not for us. Like,
Yes. I mean, going over the third dance in Aghyaran on a Sunday night. I went over early. We had to take a fly slap and go round the bottom place to see. He was more or less saying there's a bomb there, but you just look to see is it there. That's honest. And he charged us a $5 for the use of the hall.
oh, that wasn't cheap.
Oh my goodness.
$5 was a $5.
Was it only then now?
There's only all about lights.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't heating on the dance hall.
No, definitely not.
We'd give him a fiver.
As far as Gilmer now was very good for announcing stuff and that.
Father McCaig was sticky. He wasn't. He just, I'm not going to say he wasn't nice, but he was very close to it.
I think that was the night where the bus went down. Remember, there was a bus went down. There was a bus went down to the National Stadium, like big bus. Like. They were saying the rosary on. And in the meantime, there's a poker game going on in the back. But they didn't know, like. They still don't know that.
Just been edited too, is it?
Father McCaig, we'd go with a lamp and search around underneath the. What?
I remember the bingo. We came into the bingo one night and wrecked it. He said, I've got a phone call, there's a bomb at Killiter. Now, what? The book, there was a bomb in Killiter, but like that, it didn't need to stop the bingo in Aghyaran all. It could have been said, like, listen, be careful. Because the army is going to be blocking the road anyway, like, you know, that's the thing, you know.
No, no sense. And you mind the night that there was going to be a confirmation on Sunday. So anyway, it was good at asking the club to come and watch
for the bishop to meet him.
Yes.
So anyway, you were there. And I was there. Anyway, we're up. John Francis was there. And you see, you started up at the top of the place and you scrubbed it down and mopped it. And so anyway, whenever we were starting it, Father McCaig was come out and Dr. What do you call the boys in the cross? Dr. Marn. So anyway, an hour and a half later, maybe 2 hours later, we were still there and the two boys come waltzing in and then well cut. So anyway, the suds up here was all nice and white. Anyway, where's the two bucks? They started to walk through the suds and John Francis Shan just reached for the two and pointed at them out. You just want to make a mess here. That wasn't a normal thing, you tell two PPs. But the two were well cut and they had no manners. You know, you have to
put them on their place.
Well, John Francis put them on their place. Mind that?
Oh, aye, John Francis get club over there.
From Barney with the score, because Barney would have been a big Barney was the most funny man ever.
I knew that was a memorable night. I just thought, I don't know if you were out that night.
That was in the National Stadium, remembered well.
Well, that had been the pinnacle, but you know, the novelty act.
There's some great novelty acts.
Some great novelty acts. Ballad groups and things like that there.
Sure, Barney would have told you they got a few raw deals.
A few very raw deals.
Barney wouldn't tell you now because he's too modest.
But he got a few very, very raw deals.
Likely disillusioned Barney in them.
And they end up, you're going to get that, you know.
The judging was always very controversial.
I remember Sidney didn't get it one night, your woman Andrea Faulkner got it.
And Castle there.
And like Sidney was better, like no fault. I know Andrea was a good presentation. But
well, anyway, in 1972, the day of Bloody Sunday, I think I told you this story before.
That's a good score story.
I went down, Brendan and me, Michael was away somewhere, but he gave us the money was. So first man we lifted was Tommy Keenan, and then we left Jimmy Owens and Killiter at Mrs. Gary's with Tommy. He stepped out to go and look for Jimmy Owens. They stayed for a wee while. Anyway, eventually we got to Clady, the hall in Clady, and Declan O'Neill, who died there last year. He was the MC, so I didn't give the list of the names. Jimmy was doing the recitation, Tommy Keenan was doing the fiddle, Sally Kelly was doing the singing.
Yes.
And I wrote that down to Sally Kelly. So anyway, Sally Kelly was called to sing, come out and sing her song well. Jim Mackin, he was there, him and Brendan Runner, because they were in the chorus team. He started to give me a lecture. She's not Sally Kelly, she's Sally McHugh.
We knew her Sally Kelly.
So anyway, I had to go and say to Sally Kelly, I got a scowl in there because I called you Sally Kelly. Sure, that's what I'm called, Sally Kelly.
Jim was very proper.
Proper. So anyway, then Sally and some other lady who I can't remember the name, the adjudicators, they were tied, so both of them had to sing again and Sally got through to the next round. But anyway, the next thing then we went to look for Jimmy Owens for the recitation and Tommy Keenan. We knew where to find them. It wasn't at a St Vincent de Paul meeting anyway. And we got them in the pub, got the two boys out eventually and got up and now the two of them went through because they were well cut. I just remember that was Bloody Sunday and there were boys coming in to tell you they were at the march in Derry, but the money were dead when they left Derry. It was scary. It was scary coming home that night.
I'd say that.
But the good thing about the score, like, you know, it brought people in that, like, Barney wouldn't have been at many football matches.
Yeah.
He had a great interest in drama. And you had people like that coming in, you know, and singers, people who, like Sally would have sung.
Sally Kelly was always
you know, you guaranteed that, like, you know. Pat, Charlie O'Donnell, Claire.
Frankie.
Oh, yes, we won a lot of.
Frankie's.
Frankie had been there too.
Frankie's.
Like it added a whole other level to the club.
Oh, Oh, I did, surely. Probably. You're going to get disillusionment when you don't win, but some of the decisions might have been bad, but you've got to take them and
I
go
was
on.
up one night and was at Coal Island, and it was a terrible decision. English got it, and I don't know how, even people around
Was that
about.
the Novelty Act?
A Novelty Act. Robbed. Absolutely. All the ones racing, robbed.
We were brilliant that night.
Way ahead of
Absolutely brilliant.
brilliant. John Gallen's mother was in it. She was very good at Barney, Pat McHugh,
Jimmy Moore.
Jimmy Moore.
Oh, another good man.
They were all at the peak of their acting, and it was a great novelty, and it was a great story.
Yeah.
Jimmy Moore would have sort of reminded me of Michael Crawford.
That's
Right.
Aye. Oh, he was very
He
good.
was
Oh,
exceptional.
He was funny without even doing anything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah,
Sort of like,
yeah.
come on,
Some others do have
He
them.
was an actor, and then when he was on stage, he just was an actor too.
brilliant.
They were robbed.
So anyway, bad decisions, and Barney would have been very,
Barney
very
wrote a lot of them himself.
Oh, he did.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
he did,
Tilly's
yeah.
telly and that.
Tilly's Telly was telling
Oh,
me.
that's a very good one, eh?
It's a difficult one to say. Tilly's Telly was telling me about that.
Rosen was actually quite funny too. isn't he?
She was,
Aye.
She was droll.
Very droll, you know.
Just whenever I was doing research through those books that came up was a man called Sam McGurr.
Oh, yeah.
What can you tell me
very
about him?
good clubman.
Played for a long time.
Oh, it's still involved, still comes there.
He actually
Sam will be over the border.
wrote the Tyrone songs that Daddy
That's
sang.
right, yeah.
Right, oh, aye.
I Sam was good for
Very,
him.
very good intelligent man.
Very intelligent.
All them songs actually wrote them, didn't
Yeah.
he? I remember
He
them
was a
all.
lot of unseen work, and the time he had the vegetable run, he would have been very good to the club. He would just charge in cost price.
Sam, one thing he did do for us, again when we were getting it tight for money, if you remember, do you remember him drafting a letter? We went out and looked for loans and
Oh, aye,
it's
aye.
a long time ago. Do you remember that? Chris?
Aye, Sam was.
I don't know how far back it
Sam
was
was a
because
very
it's so far
intelligent
back.
man to
But
have about.
he was a good man coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Aye.
Very,
We
very
do
smart.
believe when I actually did the score there 2 years ago, maybe, as an adult. Thrown in last minute, we're singing, and when I was sitting in the audience, I was sitting beside Sam McGurr's daughter.
All right. She's very good
And to
dancer.
dancing.
Sam's
Sam's wife was
wife was a school of dancing or something.
School-
Lads are up
school
at that,
of
their own
dancing,
school of
aye.
dancing. They're very big on the score. Aye.
Well, Sam was a sound man. He's a very good footballer as well.
A very sound man to have about to
He
play.
played till he was 50. Is that
Sam.
He
right?
probably did,
Yeah.
aye. Oh, aye.
He'd be up there with one of the best goalkeepers probably in the history.
Oh, he was good,
Would be
yeah.
one of the best goalkeepers. Aye.
He was a goalkeeper.
Man of many talents as well.
Oh, yeah.
Had many talents.
Friends of
aye.
us.
Sam would have played all through that era when we were in senior. Like
That's right, oh, aye.
He played a good lad.
one of the first boys you'd have seen probably placing the kickouts.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
I placed in kickouts.
placing the kickouts.
Most of them were just whacked out like she.
Sam would have been the
just
man
hitting
who
up.
started hitting the corner.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Knowing some of the boys knowing to move here.
Yeah.
Sam would have landed it with him. Like.
Like telepathic.
I remember Rory McAteer was in goals for a couple of years, and we were a bit for kick-outs. Remember him and Connolly was kicking them out, and he could, very poor kick-outs. But we really had a great kick-out, 70, 80 yards. Well, unfortunately, nobody, including Rory, knew where it was going. Oh, Lord! It flew everywhere.
Skyrocket.
To be still up the middle, it could be out, but they were going out. Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, that's our next question. Is like the importance of the youth teams coming through, and the importance of the youth, the development works, and the coaching that goes on
And
down
even
there.
the coaches and everything, the time
The
they
work
put in and
that
the
that
effort.
involves or entails is unreal. I'll give you an example. I'm involved about not much. A video of the Coltus sessions over in Killeater, and it's on a life support at the minute. As I was explaining to Francie Q. Higgerty, I says, Francie Q, they've got to get teachers in to teach young people instruments, because if you don't, there'll be nobody. Them wild people will soon be passing on. There will be nobody to do anything.
on.
Oh, he says, too much money. I says, why you mean? Oh, he says the teachers are charged far too much money. Well, I says, I could take you to a building where there's about probably 17 coaches and not one of them's getting a penny.
Yeah.
You know, and they're there a couple of nights a week and on a
true.
Sunday. They're not getting a hipney. And all you're telling me, a teacher to teach a tin whistle is going to charge you a lot of money. Well, he says, that's that. That's terrible, like.
It is so.
That's really
That's
good.
terrible,
fair,
like,
like, it is.
because it's vital too, you know, at the same time.
Because there's
You just
music everywhere. and-
Culture.
culture, you bring the whole thing with you, like.
It's very important.
The problem with music is you see it ends up, you know,
It has money and all, but
money orientated because they can get a talent and they can go and get money and they can get
And
paid
yeah.
to play money and
Yeah.
then they're not going to teach somebody for nothing if they can get money paid to play.
Doing gigs,
you know,
yeah.
that's what you'll find the problem.
Yeah.
so that's a good thing that in amongst this club and amongst most clubs, the coaches are not paid and they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a great pride in a person to do that. Like there's Michael Anderson would have put in an awful shift with Aghyaran all the
Yeah.
each day, you know. He's heard a lot of credit. John Sisley would have done it in the past.
Molly McSorley.
Own Devine.
Own Devine, yeah.
Devine there,
Own
Shane
Devine.
Sweeney.
Shane
Our
Sweeney.
first,
Yeah.
our first ever on the 14 team was taken in Owen Devine's money was in 1973.
Yes.
First ever on the 14 team.
But the own,
And it broke my heart. My sister was getting married the same day. I'll never forget that in July '73. I'll never forget it. I couldn't go. I was crying. Like,
See,
You had to go to this bloody
had to go to the
wedding.
wedding.
I go there on odd Wednesday evening there, you can see, you used to see yourself. I mean, you have Shane Sweeney there's putting
Shane
something back in
Sweeney.
again.
Oh.
Johnny McMenamin, you know Johnny.
Yeah,
Goes to
Johnny,
call
yeah.
him.
Packy Connolly.
Packy, yes, very
yeah.
good. Liam Lynch is always about there.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Gerard Tully there, just young, but he refereed there, them things was on the
games.
Saturday.
Good game
Go
there.
games,
Aye.
yeah.
Oh, we've been very
I'll
lucky.
tell you, yes, Kevin
Gerard's
Barrett.
good
aye,
man.
yeah.
I'll tell
Kevin
you,
and Terence.
who told me that one day they were stuck, and Gerard Gormley's wife, what do you call her?
Donna, yeah.
Owen Devine told me, he says, Donna, we've too many people here and we can't get enough. He says, would you take there 7 or 8? I think she's still doing it. That's a number of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's, if you're asked, it's nice to be asked, nice to do
It's
it.
nice to
Yeah.
appreciate it.
The good thing you have now
Absolutely.
is parents. Whereas parents never went to matches years ago.
No.
Parents never got involved in coaching years ago.
No.
They just didn't bother. We had maybe 2 or 3 people doing everything.
Ali was Charlie, remember, and John was there.
Like I remember Tommy and John McLean taking teams for years, and then it moved on, and Ali would have took teams for years. But they'd have been on their own all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there's no. You would have been going to away matches, and you wouldn't have an umpire or a linesman. Like,
That's
Yeah.
right.
now it'd be different. Just
But it's great to go there and
even
see
the parents travel away now.
Oh my God,
unheard
yeah.
of.
That was in
Unheard
Eden
of.
Dork on Sunday.
Like, I know. Well, that was unheard of. That was unheard
point.
of 20 years ago, and it a bit point. too.
Thought we were going to do it there towards the end.
know,
But
but-
Oh, well, no.
hello. Tight one to go home.
Sometimes you can learn from the defeat.
That's
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
Pull yourself up again.
That's what
Because
it's
you are going to get bit.
Mickey Hart told me Tyrone lost in 1997 All Ireland minor final that they should have won the once the next year. When Mickey Hart said to me one time, he says, he says, I think the fact we lost in 87 was a great help to us.
You did.
His wife and his son was sitting in front of me that day, and the wee boy was crying.
Crying, Matthew.
His son, Mark, the younger boy, what do you call it?
Matthew.
He just couldn't understand that they were getting a good beat. Like, he was balling. He's like, I always remember that.
At left them boys, the heads got
more determined.
I pulled them down. The heads were getting a bit big.
Mickey learned a lot too because there was a number of switches, on retrospect, should have been done.
Should have been done. That's right.
But I mean, it didn't happen again. That's the key thing.
Our keeper dropped a clanger that day, didn't he?
Yeah, and I tell you, man, dropped a clanger. Kieran Gurley dropped a clanger that day. He's a boy who never.
Never.
And I tell you, it's a funny thing. I'm sure Faye Devlin only made one simple mistake in his life and cost Tyrone the goal in the 1985 one.
That's right.
And that's right beside for hours we were sitting when he broke a ball and it broke away from him.
He had it in his hands and
Hard hands.
Oh,
jumped in.
And that's something that Faye Devlin was always that's his
Oh, he was
strength.
sound.
I think probably those heartbreaks like 86 with Kieran McGarvey and then
Aye.
95
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
propelled us forward.
Heartbreak.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot from losing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, absolutely. Do.
And Amy Mays, I was going to say,
Yeah.
was here. You talked about she came second 6 times before she became
Who was that?
the world champion.
May Dolan.
Is that right?
She was just so used to coming second, and she says in hindsight now when she looks back it was actually a blessing that she comes
Well,
second.
yeah.
She has her feet to the ground.
Oh, she really does.
nice person,
Inspirational.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed, though.
Well, what about the Tyrone GA memories then, following on from those heartbreaks? Like the 2003 one was the
2003.
very special, especially with WJ Dolan at
first.
the helm.
The
Done our
first.
club no harm, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
I done our bar takings no harm.
That Monday night, I still remember that Monday night. That was
Forgotten.
fantastic.
Was
Never be
unreal.
forgotten.
Sam Maguire in my hands the next night.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, Patsy, he was an Oma that night, Stewarden,
Aye.
Yeah.
when the team come back, right? And we were getting feedback the team was going to come to Aghyaran, but didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Said, no, that because we were working out the times. Remember, Patsy?
Well, as soon as we went to the boarding, whatever the hotel we went to after the
Oh,
meet,
aye, after
the drone
the
team were there, the television cameras were there. But anyway, the way out, Brendan Harkin, Mickey Hart come out to the door with Brendan Harkin, one of these boys who did everything right. Like,
Oh, he
was.
won.
Right, he did. He
He had an itinerary. He says, we'll be in Aghyaran the morning night at 11:30. They were there 2012.
But
Wow.
then we thought with the euphoria,
All the places that they were
we
being.
thought with the euphoria, the stopping and the
Yeah.
back, the Clouds
Yeah.
and Monaghan
That they'd be late or
and Oma, and then
whatever,
the
yeah.
big thing in the state and
Yeah.
the courthouse in Oma. And we were steering at it, and we're thinking this is rolling out. And then all of a sudden it just stopped and the way they
They were
went
gone.
and asked the Patsy. We
We had a rush in.
Hey, we had nothing organised.
organised, no.
We had nothing. I don't know what time it was, Patsy. You better get a crowd on, sir, because these teams coming. Panic. Your dad,
They were up on the
your
plane.
dad, Charlie, and
I was
Francie.
over playing now.
There was a fourth one, was there? Right? There was 4 of them.
Claire.
That was all totally winging it. We just
It
winging
was
it.
one of the best nights
We were
ever.
winging it like.
Oh, it was brilliant.
No, we flew down, and then there was one standing at Drumcrun. We told them the team's on the road, and then they went to Castlederg, said, they're on the way through. So, but they only just drove through, they didn't stop for
We
a
did make that in the dairy, kind of know where the dairy goes. Because we came into the dairy at about after 11 anyway. And the dairy was completely dead. There wasn't
No, not a thing, no.
a thing to be seen, and we go just up to the corner at Kugel's, and the fucking crowd was everywhere. It's just like unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
a crowd had just surged onto the street and they knew the team was coming. Like,
massive.
We thought there were going to be nobody here. Like.
We turned the teams on the way, and the Drumcon was the same. There's
That's
actually
right.
stand at the corner.
Nobody about.
But I tell you, that was
Fantastic couple of days all around.
Oh, it was all good,
I
eh?
remember I
And
was
then-
supposed to start teaching that week at my PGC. It was supposed to start on that Monday. Like I didn't show up until Thursday. I was wearing a throwing jersey.
I never even took a drink that night. I was in the centre that I picked at 6 in the morning. And I never even took a drink. Now, I love pints, like, but I was at
Just the
tight.
euphoria of it all,
I
aye.
didn't need
And
that.
you know, it's hard to believe Paddy Daly was involved with football in Aghyaran. He was one of the old.
Oh, yeah. Come back to the 40s.
Back
With
before that.
Minria.
And he was involved with the club.
Who's
just-
this, Patsy,
Paddy
yourself?
Daly.
Paddy Daly at
Paddy
Corbury.
Daly
Oh, right.
at
Tommy
Corbury.
Daly's father.
We got the phone call on Monday morning, and she phoned me saying, I hope we getting the Sam up to the fellow was dead.
He was dying now.
He died a month after.
I died,
But
yeah.
anyway, we worked until Willie John. Willie John, he got phoned on to Mickey Hart and Shirley, come down. We got the cup down early, went up to Paddy Daly, and he had a big photos in his own house now. And he was crying.
Oh my god.
So it's in his lifetime. And up in Corbury.
Yeah.
On Monday morning, 15 or 16 hours after they'd won that Ireland.
Imagine.
Imagine.
We would have won in Ireland in '95 if Mickey Hart had been in charge of the team.
Aye.
That was the management was wrong then.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing against the management, they'd done the best they could, but they didn't have the team. They hadn't the situation prepared. Like
Yeah.
when you look back on it, like we had a good team in that year.
Matty McDane's one of the best forwards in Tyrone for many years, but him and Eugene McKenna didn't see eye to eye, so we didn't know.
And
Sometimes they
Paul Donnelly should have been on all
Paul
night.
Donnelly should have been on from day one.
That didn't happen when Mickey Hart come along, Well, he knew the players maybe better because
Paul Donnelly was suited down to a tee to the dumps.
Oh, he said that's right. Oh,
that
yes.
guy.
Mickey Hart to bring in the young teams through as well because he had experience.
But,
Yeah.
but the good thing was he kept them all together.
But then he had
and
bad
stayed with-
days before he ever got there.
Oh, he did that. Oh, aye.
Hey, I don't know how often we ever lost to Fermanagh on the trainer level, and we lost. Remember that?
But you come along with an exceptional bunch of
It
players.
just took off after that.
Yeah.
But he looked after them as well. He didn't,
looked after.
them present on the 20s, which are in the line final now for the third in 5 years, or whatever, they're exceptional to do that. But they'll be better looked after than, say, 20 years ago. 20 years
Yeah.
ago, they were let go to the wind and they were
Yeah.
drinking and racking.
Muggsy was,
Yeah.
Muggsy was the perfect example.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Only for Mickey Hart.
Superstar on the pitch, but
Messer, just.
Yeah.
half the
like
pitch
in
different
Muggsy's
story.
book, he says every Monday we were on a beer crawl, like this is in preparation for the championship.
Yeah.
He might have been on a beer crawl, but the rest of that Tyrone team wasn't on a beer crawl.
He was only
Well, that's what it says in the book. For a beer crawl on Monday.
the thing is, he just got a wee bit of leeway because he was so good.
He was good. He definitely was good. There
God knows
was.
how good he would have been if he'd have been.
Oh,
if
yes.
He'd have been a attitude
Yeah.
Peter Canavan, say, or Stephen O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They-
Probably been
unstoppable.
He would have been unstoppable because I mean,
He definitely had skill.
he was like one of them boys who had drunk half a dozen pints before a match. If you thought he'd get away with it, like.
The day that we were 9 points behind down at half or sometime in the second
Final,
half,
yeah.
Muggsy and Canavan was the two who got us back.
Oh, aye.
They didn't win the match first, but they got
Yeah.
us back. Oh, they were mighty. Ricey got a good score that day, and so did Philip Gerard.
We played Dunmore, Aghyaran, Gerard. Stevie was playing.
Stevie,
It was a Friday night match.
that's right.
Remember that?
Aye.
I think we won 3-4 to 11 points.
3-4 to 11
Stevie
points.
got 3-2.
3-2, that's right.
Danced around the defence, but anyway, went back into the centre and Stevie was at the corner of the bar. And I went over to him and I goes, you know what, Stevie, we wouldn't play all our games on a Friday night now because you'll be sober.
That's right.
And he looked at me and he said, hey sir, I made a 9 pints last night. And I goes, had you F. And Paddy Gallen was sitting at the other side of the bar as he come in and he calls across to Paddy Gallen, so, many pints would we have had last night? Yes sir, would I did or 9 anyway.
There you go.
He was after scoring 3-2 against Dunmore.
Oh my goodness.
What a
Stephen
waste.
Devine was an exceptional talent.
I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Brilliant.
His own downfall was.
That's right.
Yeah.
But to do that and you have to entertain pints the night before.
That's why I give your man so much credit, young Bradley.
Yeah.
Like he has kept his feet on the ground.
Oh, he really
it's
has.
for all appearances anyway. And I hope please God it goes on. Like there's good to see it.
He'd have been looked after, put him into a school and everything, educated,
Yeah.
he got his education along with the football. Like,
Yeah.
He left the Brothers a year early, I think, didn't he?
He did. Oh, he did. Aye.
But the one thing you've got to give him credit for, he played for the Aghyaran underage as long as he
Oh, he
could.
could.
Yeah.
Aye.
He even played when he shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of years ago, they were
Come home.
I was up in the gym just, I thought, well, I suppose it's maybe 2 or 3, 4 years ago now. But there was it's Liverpool were playing in the League Cup or something, and the boys had the TV on, you see, and Jesus, no Bradley night, you know, what's wrong? strong. Some of them looked out the one day where was Connor at, kicking the ball into the goal.
Good to see it, like, and I hope if there's any.
That thing for home, like.
No.
Yeah.
Like, to succeed in anything, you need to be grounded. Like,
So
it doesn't
true.
matter. Like, it doesn't matter what sport you play or in life. Like.
And on that note, Gerard, what do you think would be the best advice you would give your younger self?
Going back to my own life,
Yeah.
I would have thought, like, I was lucky. I was well lucky. I was growing up as there was those 3 Connollys and there was 2 of us as 5, and we were running across Sean McHugh and Michael Dolan and the Dolans. We had nearly a team by the time we got over to the pitch, like, you know. That's well lucky. That doesn't happen today.
No.
And you would learn from everyone, and some wee thing, some manner that Patsy would have, you'd learn was a good manner. Some other things you'd learn from other ones, you know. And like to me, anyway, I was very fortunate when I was growing up to have them people around me. I always thought Jerry Hilly was at a loss because there was nobody up where he was. Eddie Moss had to bring him to the matches or training and that. Jerry didn't have any young boys around him up there to give him any support. And that's important.
I suppose Gerard Gormley the same of the way
Aye.
from
Liam Lynch's the same.
bicycle up on the top of Skye and landed hours before the training, maybe got a cup of tea, and as soon as the training was over, our match
Cycle back.
cycled back up to the top of Skye again.
If you think back to the early days when we started that, how difficult it was to get a team to Aghyaran, for example.
Just to even get the
You
team
took it
there.
home with
Yeah.
or Garva,
Yeah.
no cars.
No, too
all
far.
The span you had in the parish.
And then you see-
like Packy coming from the top of Tullykyar. How did you get there? There was nobody there to drive you. There was no, you made your own way. You made your
But
own way.
you know, if you're with a group of people, and that's probably why I never drunk either. None of them drank. You know, well, it's not. As people say, it's a social thing now. It's probably as different times and anything. It's easier staying off drinking my time than it is probably now.
Yeah.
But you know, I would say that I was very fortunate growing up that I grew up in Mullinabreen, close to like Sean McHugh was a good influence as well.
Yeah.
So I'd been chatting GA, you know, as I say, but then there's 3 Connollys and Colin was with me, and then over to the pitch and you had the Dolans there. You nearly had a team, and then you had a regular boy coming out from
down
Corkery,
Corkery.
and that was the team. Like our team was 2 town lands or maybe 3 town lands. Yeah.
She had Sean Harvey and Sean
We're all looking at the
Shoemakers.
sisters. Sean, Shoemaker.
Oh, Mike,
Mike and George and Tom then.
Yeah.
John Sisley.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore that was
You wouldn't change a thing about your younger selves.
Well, we're lucky too. I mean, I remember in '73 we had a sale of work on the 15th of August.
Yes.
It made good money.
that was good.
It did indeed. And Edward Sisley, which I thought, God, he must be some man. He gave us 2 calves. I think, I don't know what they were worth, maybe 18 or 20 pound each. But he put them up for sale and he bought them himself, like at the auction, you know.
Yeah.
He was rolling to put his hand in his pocket.
Yeah.
And then
And
there
Edward
were
never
people-
kicked a ball in his
There were
life.
people left sheep, you know,
That's right.
a couple of sheep. They were good
Was that the one
sheep.
who placed down onto the hall? Or
No, it was in the yard.
Back in the yard,
I remember that.
And there was turf as well.
What year was that, Gerard?
73, that's 15th August 1973.
I was just coming 13.
We were out. We were out.
I remember that as well.
Remember it collecting.
Turf there.
That was the year of decimalisation, you see. And Wooly be relation of your own.
Yeah, well, their fathers.
And Wooly knew he wasn't soft, but he wanted to buy the turf because he lived over in Tinnamoon and he needed the turf. And there were 60 pence, but he thought there were 6 shillings. 60 pence was double that.
That was 12 shillings.
The decimalisation, Wooly hadn't a clue. Michael was buying them for him.
Right.
And Wooly, it was going up from say about 35 pence, 40. Charlie McGrath was the auctioneer. And come up, Wooly says, "Who's bidding on me?" Michael says, "Them boys in Killita." I never liked them boys in Killita. But old Tommy was bidding on him.
Right.
Because he knew the man was loads of money. But he gathered up every clod before it was over. But it went to 60 pence, which is 12 shillings.
Yeah.
And he thought there was 6 shillings.
And they
got a laugh.
Jimmy bought the sheep for me to walk them home. There was 8 or 10
I
sheep.
remember being fascinated with that.
Walked them over.
I've ring those animals and.
Oh, surely. They're all around the hall.
Different produce. You know.
City was involved in the hall. There was cakes and all that, homemade cakes. And then there was stalls of shoes and stalls of clothes and stuff outside. It was a great day. It was late like a day. That's a very wet year, but that day,
Mind that well, aye.
about 2 days before Seamus Harvey was buried, and the place was sort of down,
We
like, you know.
were down in Balmafay. That night we were in 3-4 pubs and we got bottles of whiskey. We were chatting to Seamus Harvey and Gerard and John. And then we come back to the cross and we went on there to Benny Brown's and we got one there. And Eugene McLaughlin was with us. And then he decided to stay a wee while longer, so we weren't drinking, so we just come on up. And just as we come up to the boards of run, there were a car born in the middle of the road.
Oh God.
The crowds on the boards of run just come rushing out, so we were only seconds away.
Yeah.
That's Seamus Harvey and Gerard Midland now. 10th August or 11th August 1973. But that sale of work plus the tickets that Eamon or that draw at Eamon, so that put the club in a financial fund.
We got good money out of that.
Money, but it only happened because people worked.
Yeah.
Like that's, the key's getting them to work, and even at the month the key will be getting the centre people to work.
Yeah.
No one person will put the centre down, but no one person will put the centre up either.
No,
But
it
it takes people.
takes
You need people,
Sunday after we won the championship in '81. Remember there was a video at the championship.
Sean was there, I'm older.
And Jimmy Owens appeared. Jimmy was sort of off the rails at that time. Somebody got him there just about because he was part of the
He died 6 months later.
Died 6 months
He was
later.
too fat to
But he
drink.
put his hand in his inside pocket and he took out a wee brown bag. Do you remember? And it was one of the first math books we had. Now I'm talking one this size like
Oh wow.
no, and all that stuff was on it.
Yeah.
That he had kept a record of the early days when he'd been probably secondary, you see.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of stuff recorded on
Written
it.
down.
It was fascinating to read. I remember because I had it for a good few years.
Yeah.
It's still in existence, like.
Yeah, the fact it hasn't been lost through time.
Yeah.
It was lost, but it's been found again.
Jimmy Owens,
I'll tell you a
in the
big
minutes,
problem.
in the secretary's minutes, he retired or resigned as secretary because a number of the club members went to a soccer match.
What do you say?
Jimmy resigned as secretary because a number of the club members went to a soccer match.
Oh, aye.
That's in the minute book.
Controversial.
That was a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it still is.
Still is, yes.
So it's not Aghyaran. Like I say, not Aghyaran.
That is. We'll move on then. So, who has been your biggest influence in your life? Let's say, Charlie, you can go first.
Football wise or
Well, no, in your life, just
Either,
in
yeah.
life.
probably mother, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What's your mum called?
My mum.
Annie.
Definitely would have been that. Very religious person.
Oh, aye.
Oh, great woman. Annie Mungan.
She was Annie, known as Annie
Very
Mungan.
much into her religion.
Yeah.
Big time.
Oh, yeah.
Always wished for a happy death. Prayed every day for a happy death.
Great.
Died in her bed on
Died
Christmas
in
Eve
her
at
bed on a Christmas
93.
morning.
There
Wow.
you
So
go.
that you wouldn't want anything handier or better. I was in the house at 12:30 when she was Happy Christmas.
So was I, luckily.
And you were there. You were there.
Ah.
And next thing,
Happened
the
by
door
accident,
shut
I was
dead.
there.
And that was what you call a perfect death.
Yeah.
Oh,
Perfect
Learned a
death.
lot from her.
Civil
And then she
person.
had a real highlight because it was Christmas time and there were 6 priests at the mass. And all
My
that.
goodness.
That
That
really
was served her.
really set her off.
Oh,
Brilliant. And I suppose then, would she have been supportive in your role too, of going through the football?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
It was Jackie probably took me to my first match, which was the one I was talking about earlier, the Devine Cup final, which Charlie Gallen was captain of, Gerard.
oh,
I can remember Charlie Gallen being carried out through the gate
Oh,
on
yeah,
the old
yeah,
pitch
yeah.
because they had won the Devine Cup. And I can remember Paddy Kelly was playing.
Well, Paddy was playing set in 65.
Well, it was probably later in '65, but
And then
because I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't remember '65. But I remember this one, and I remember my mother and Agnes McHugh walking up, God rest her, lived beside me, walking up to the Aghyaran to the final. The final was a mass thing, the
Oh,
Devine
big
Cup.
crowd, eh?
What was that final like?
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
Probably the first time I was ever at a match. I think it would have been the first time I was ever at a match. I never remember
Yeah.
being at a match.
And what about you, Gerard? Who would you be?
Well, probably, my parents, surely my mother would have been very instrumental, particularly as Charlie says, she was a knowledge on religion. My father
Yeah.
wouldn't have been a knowledge on religion.
But he wasn't allowed on her.
But then you have to go on and go along and say, well, she learned them things, but then you learn these other things from people
From
that you
your
work
peers.
with and people at school and people then that you played football with and that. You learn from all them interactions, like, or meetings, But just to start off, I feel sorry for families that didn't have sort of stable parents, like,
Yeah.
Aye,
I was
that's
lucky
right.
enough I had that.
What were your parents called, Gerard?
Well, my mother was Mary Devine, she was
Mary
Mary
Devine.
Allen, and my father was an Owen Devine.
That name
My-
one is stuck through the family generation.
Oh, it is,
definitely.
because his father was Owen. He was an Owen Devine as well. They lived down there at Frankie, where Frankie's house is there. And his father after that was Roger, and his father before that was Brian. There were a good lot of them.
There's a whole family
Go
tree
back to
there.
that. Brian would be 1790 or 1798
Wow.
around that time.
And what about you, Patsy? Who's the,
Well,
who would you say?
well, she had
Eileen herself?
And she had to do the 2 job, mother and father.
She didn't have it easy. But like even like they give up the field for the football.
Oh, yeah, she's very
for
charitable
Ulster.
that way.
That was nothing. That was your duty, as far as
Yeah.
I'll be looking back. That was
She'd
your
be very
duty.
good that way.
Duty. What else would you be doing?
My mother would say a powerful woman. She always
she
used to
was,
describe your mother.
Oh,
Powerful.
well, she was. Well, she hadn't a handy time, but she had a rare 3 of us that were under 3.
That's right.
I was 2 years and 11 months in jail. James. Charlie was 2 and James was 9 or 10 months.
Oh my goodness.
That's right.
That's
A
life.
strong woman
She
to
got
do
3
that.
grand.
Oh, she was.
Lucky, and she's lucky that her parents would be beside her, and she was one of 13. And I think I was telling once there, a couple of years before she died, chatting about Teresa and Mary, our 2 sisters that worked about Belfast. Well, Mary finished up in home, but I was this time. So they always arrived home, Granny's was just up the road, where it was. So they landed at Terrace on Christmas Eve, and she told me then, just a few years before she died, they were the Sante for us. Just to put things out of shops.
Oh, hi.
Probably some of the rest of them contributed, but they were the major Sante.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I heard that once. We heard once, so it was something useful.
I always think, Patsy, your mother and my own mother, and I've forgotten a whole lot of other mothers, lighting the candles when AghyNarnians was playing. That was a massive.
That's what won the matches.
I mean, that's anyone. The time we won the what you think about it, it must have worked.
Yeah.
We were 5 points down and one. We were
That's right.
either side. So I remember them. I remember your mother and my mother like chatting.
Chat
Oh, I
about
like
the blessed candle.
my mother just
Had you the blessed candle? The blessed candle was the. That was the turn of the game.
Oh, we got full support to go to the football now.
Oh, aye.
Well, probably before we get to the last question, there was a bit of camogie and there was a bit of hurling at one point in AghyNarnia. But it was short-lived.
Well, it was safer that it stopped.
It was giving them weapons.
That was safer.
Camogie was very strong in the
Well,
70s.
Patsy took me one time down to a man called Tom Murphy. He lived out there at Castle Fun, but he originally was from Corgray. And his father was originally from Ballyvorney, which is West Cork.
Jerry, yes.
And he ended up the headmaster up in Corgray. And he said Biddy and Eddie had a camogie team in Corgray. Biddy and Eddie would have been Bridget McHugh. She had a camogie team. Was on a camogie team in 1915-16 in Corgray. That's what Tom Murphy said.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah. He said the first football he played, and he would have been an AghyNarnian man, he would have been doing time in the ship,
he
was
was
on Easter Sunday 1920. Mick Collins, who later became Father Mick, had the official guide on a ball at, he got the official guide in St. Columns.
And Father Mick ended up in the Ulster Council. As you were
He was, he was a good gear, like Father Mick.
He was very good.
Well, so Tim would have been too.
I'll tell you about this now. He was instrumental in Aghyaran getting those 2 fields.
Oh, yes,
Over the pitches now,
aye.
because he was
He was in a diocesan committee.
He was a diocesan committee. Father Andy, being Father Andy, was for to use his influence, and he was for the Father Mick was for to use his influence to get the. Now we was actually, you see, as a club went over the head of Father McCaig,
Oh, yeah.
because we wouldn't have got it from home.
No.
Problem is, you see,
So therefore
we
the-
needed to get a sanction from these fields belong to the parish.
Right, okay.
The diocesan committee is the managers of the parish ground land. We were then wanting to get money or a pitch, 2 fields off the parish, and us then to sell them to the council for them to develop.
Right.
So it was a tricky enough one. Father McCaig
yeah, to navigate,
came, there was a
yeah.
meeting, and the night that same meeting, Charlie Gallen had got the vice principal job in St. Eugenians.
Yeah.
Remember, Paddy Dolan came up and Paddy says he was in the committee and appointed Charlie. He says, like, don't say, but Father McCaig comes, so Charlie's got the job. Charlie knew then. But Father McCaig landed in, and only for Mackin that night we did bother.
Aye.
Mickey McSorley was saying, like, explaining what this would mean for the area to have a good pitch. Father McCaig said, "You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth."
There was a big crowd that night there.
Oh,
All
no.
the people there.
There were
You shut your mouth.
There were people even suggesting, when they give this from the Span Council, that
12th of July.
the 12th of July
That's
be
right,
held
that's
in
what they said.
That was
Mackin was Jim Mackin. 'Cause I'll tell you why. Father McCaig liked Mackin. He didn't like us, but he liked Mackin. And Mackin was a good contributor to his funds. So Mackin explained to them, "Oh, no, Father, it's like this," and that settled him.
That was your way.
What do you mean?
But Father Andy had done the homework.
He done the
Yeah.
homework. Father Mick, he was involved with the Dairy Diocesan, so he was for the use his. He was an AghyNarnian man. He wanted to feed GA, developing AghyNarnian, so he done the right thing.
But
Or
you
what's
can-
what's the point? 2 fields to the parish, the whole big parish. Give it to somebody, a community people that'll develop it.
And look what it's given back.
No
Look,
wonder.
We had them
look,
remarks going on for years after that, Gerard.
That's right.
12th of July.
And that's why we were determined in the end to get the fields back.
Absolutely.
And to the GA clubs and
Yeah.
and then nobody could ever say anything ever again.
clubs now
But
is-
those were quite a long
It's
time.
different if we had
That's
sold
sort of
them
the-
on into for houses or something.
yeah.
Had made money out of it.
Yeah.
The club was investing in the
making a
future of the
market.
area.
Community, yeah.
No, they're not yours. They don't belong to you. You know, and that was biting. You know.
But
So very important to get it back.
You see, you had these boys sitting around,
Aye.
sitting at dinner time eating. Did you hear what was happening in Aghyaran? 12th of July will be held. Aye.
Oh, yes, I hear that,
Some stupid monk sitting around the corner. And he would believe what he heard.
Yeah.
But that's how we actually, the first night that ever we were down to the band council, Michael Dolan and Sean McHugh and they went down, and there was a boy Liam Morrison. That was the first approach that was made to the band council, and Liam Morrison had been at the St. Colin Dairy along with Father Eugene Dolan, so that was an outlet.
Well, it's a lot of times if you have your foot through the door, you'll not do so bad, you know.
Yeah.
So you had to get somebody to lead in, so he started from there.
Absolutely.
I don't know how we got from the Camogie to there.
John McKinney was the other man that was very, very influential. John McKinney, he's retired. He was chief executive of the Savannah Council, then he was the Oma one. He's a good GA man.
I think if like none of this happened, like it led to a culmination where you had Martin Penrose and Shane Sweeney and McNamee and Avy McHugh, all these superstars that have come out of Aghyaran.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's all come from that origin story.
That's right,
That's right, it has.
Yeah,
So Father Mike
absolutely.
Collins was a very influential man from that point of view, and John McKinney was very influential.
Powerful man. Our last question for you: what is your favourite thing, or what makes Aghyaran so special?
I just love the parish. I love everything that goes on in it. I love the people. You know, there's something about you have the camaraderie. You always have the people that you. There's no point in trying to influence them because
Exactly. You take Aghyaran, the parish has a magazine. Castledare doesn't have a magazine.
Yeah.
Drumcondon doesn't have a magazine. Strabane doesn't have a magazine. Why does Aghyaran have one?
It's a bunch of people.
Because there's a lot of people willing to learn more about their area.
Yeah.
There's no point in having a magazine if people didn't buy it. Like if you were to go back to the first one was in 1986, there's not one every year since that, but there's a Fan McGinn and John Moan was the two that started it. Like, but it's if you were to read some of the stories like from Hugh Breslin and people like that, there, great stories, great history in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, there's a lot of information for me whenever I've been doing research for these podcasts.
There's some great people lived in our parish in the past and the present.
And then
Yeah.
You know, some very influential people.
There's great loyalty in our Aghyaran parish. You look at, even you look at the church collections, look at support the G. You know, there's people are really good. Like,
Oh, they're
I mean,
Just
they're out their own.
parish.
Even last Friday night, that quiz.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. No matter what you do, you take any charity fundraising, people passing away to support people that get.
Yeah.
You know, that's not happening everywhere else. It's not happening.
Away from here.
There's not very many places left that is actually happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Away from here, the dead are not really respected.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that hateful way,
No.
but they're not the same fuss made of it. Just
Like on one of those books that you give me, Patsy, there's a quote on the front of it, and it says, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." That's Aghyaran.
Yeah.
what do you call the sign up there that they have in the hall?
The goal is not to live forever. It is
Yes,
to
that's
create
the-
something that will.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
saying. That's
Yeah.
that wee rush girl done that.
Aghyaran people could always scowl, you know, and rear up and about one another. But if you see something bad with Aghyaran, in Aghyaran,
Oh,
person,
sorry,
you're
sir.
not from Aghyaran, you're in Lord.
We're coming for you.
You know, you
Get that minibus, we're coming for you.
I was in Eton. I was in Eton place last Friday down that place Conkers. Anyway, this man, he's one of the Donians there.
I know them
Well,
Donians.
Maffei, you know, the Kirk. And he says, it's great to see a Castle Derrick man down in Balmaffey. And I says, well, I'm not a Castle Derrick man, I'm a Aghyaran man. And I says, you know, I don't like to be called a Castle Derrick man.
Full stop.
We shall a pound for him to somebody else.
He says, I totally understand he's well Donians. Of course he got swell.
It's your identity, you know,
Yeah, it
identity
is.
is very
I
strong.
just
That's true, like, you know.
And them-
Where you, I mean, you know, if somebody asked me where I was from, I wouldn't say Castle Derrick. I'm not where I was, I would say Aghyaran, and then I would say the nearest town.
Then that's when they go, hey, what?
That's right. Nearest town, Castle Derrick.
There's a number of people there, a good number of people here heard what I said back. Like,
Yeah.
you see the Castle Derrick man here today.
That was a sacrilege, Connolly.
Hey?
That was a sacrilege, Connolly.
Of all the people to be called,
Yeah,
there's man.
I just no. You don't tell anybody you're from Castle Derrick if you're from Aghyaran.
No.
Do you always say, Patsy? God bless. God bless.
God bless.
We'll wrap that up, but hey, honestly, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you so
So
that's all
interesting,
right.
like, honestly.
You must know credit.
I don't know, like your memory of names and places and points and it's all
Knocks.
right.
The thing is fair.
One time,
That's not it.
our grandfather Edward. We won a tournament, Aghyaran tournament, and there was a dance in the hall afterwards. And Edward was famous for making home brew, and Father Andy had an uncle, Father Jim,
Aye.
who was famous for drinking home brew. And Tommy Dolan met Daddy about the town, and he says, "God, it is when I was on that home brew. I'll tell you one thing, that's fairly flattened Jim. He hasn't got out of bed. This is just 4 days."
4 days.
Who made it, Jared?
Edward.
Oh, you're Edward.
See, the thing is, that was a threat.
No bar, you see the centre and that's
Aye.
that, and we no bow.
Out the hall.
Edward had
I'm
home
just going
brew.
to say this final line now before any more stories start. Thanks to our amazing guests today, Gerard Devine, Charlie Moss, Patsy, God bless, Patsy Connolly. Thanks to Claire, my amazing co-host, as always. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please join us again next time.
Chronicles of AghyNarnia.
Well, folks, today we have an extra special guest, a man who played in the first ever game for Aghyaran, that friendly win against our rivals Castlederg way back on the 2nd of September 1956. The legendary Danny McMenamin. Danny, it's an honour. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
How you're doing all right?
Yes,
You came prepared with a guitar and everything.
I've got the guitar there.
He's got the guitar here.
We can still play it.
So this whole episode's about the Aghyaran GA club, and it started way back in 1956. And as I just said there, you were part of the first ever team in the first ever game, a friendly against Castlederg. And I just want to jog your memory and see what you remember. Now, all I know about it is there was a good crowd there that day. Aghyaran won by 9 points, and in goals you had Robbie Sproul, and the full back line was Eddie Devine, Edward Joe McHugh, and your good self, Danny McMenamin. And the half back line you had Willie Barkley, Willie Sproul, Father Willie Sproul, and Sonny Harper. Midfielders, these must have been the big lads, Packy McMenamin and Cahill Dugan. And then in the half forward line you had Paddy Daly, PJ McGrath and Liam McGlinchey. And up full forward you had John McCrory, Charlie Kerr and Sean McGoldrick.
That's it.
And you had a couple of subs used that day, Sean McHugh and Sean Harvey. And Arthur Meehan was missing that day due to ill health. So what do you remember?
Well, that game has gone back a long way. I don't remember that much about that game really. It was probably played in...
Eileen Connolly's field
Aye,
up in Mulnabreen, Patsy's mother's.
That's right.
And it was like a Hawthorns the whole way around, and you only had one football.
That's all one ball.
But it was a heavier ball back then you played with.
The leather balls, laced balls, they were heavy.
Yeah.
Especially when they got the rain.
Oh, aye. It'd be a lot harder to kick.
Twice as heavy. You know?
It built up your good calf muscles, anyway.
I did that, no doubt about that.
It was the start of something good for Aghyaran, anyway.
Well, I suppose I said to a man, somebody asked me, I think it was Patrick McSorley, one time said to me, and John Sisley too, maybe. I said, for all I've done for Aghyaran at that time, like that, I says, every time I come home, if people ask you, it wouldn't ask you, what did you win by the day, but it was, how much did you lost by the day? We wouldn't win any games.
Aye.
We were fresh, we were only starting out, and we were playing against some good footballers up Clougher and Knocker and round there, and even Claddymen, they were all good players. And then you had countymen, Hugh Kelly, Horney, like he was county at that time. And I suppose we had, as you were up on by Clougher up there would have been, well, I remember we were playing the CBS Park in Oma, and I remember Jackie Taggart
Right.
was playing that day. Yeah, I remember that. So
You're up against some big names.
big names that time where we were, you know, when you heard about somebody like Jackie Taggart's playing, or you heard Hughie Kelly played, you say, boys, this is
You're in for a good run.
Year. You know, it scared the life of you, you know, because you're real green linked. But you said, well, we do the best we can, and that's it. Some good men with some big strong men.
Yeah, but just I was putting it all together because it was about I think they went 5 years without actually winning a
would
game,
believe that.
apart from those friendlies.
Aye, that's right. Oh, I would believe that. It went a long time before. But what I was going to say, I went out of my head. John Sisley, God rest him, and Patrick McSorley says to me, well, sure, he says, you started the ball rolling, so you did, which was right. We did start the whole thing going, you know.
Yeah, it was there was probably a good interest at that time, and to gather up the bodies, like all the names I read out there, just to start the ball rolling, as you put it.
That's right, we were starting it.
And look where the club is now, as we're coming to almost 70 years later. It's amazing.
It's come a long way.
Oh, amazing inside 70
You
years.
know, I'm still around yet, I know.
You're still around yet. You were the
For how long,
inspirational,
I don't know, but
the inspirational fullback line that kicked it all off.
as I say, we had big men, and some of them could have played a good bit of football, you know. Like Arthur was class, you know, and Everett McHugh, good player, big man, good catcher of a ball, you know. And then you had Big Packy and Sonny Harper and Cahill Dugan, them was big men, like plenty of strength.
And then the Dolan boys started to come through, and
And they come through then, and McGoldrick and Harvey and them boys, they were coming through at that time then too, like behind us.
It's a lot of tough years, but they stuck with it and it paid off in the long run.
Paid off now. It had to start somewhere, I suppose, you know.
And there's only yourself and Sean Harvey and Eddie Devine, yeah.
Eddie would be still, he's in Australia, you know. He would be still, myself and Eddie would be the two that first played. And I think the team we played was, it was like, or I think they played under, Edinay, or maybe vice versa, because Gerard Devine was telling me that I think something happened at the club or something that I don't know whether they were.
They were fielding. They were fielding illegal players, I think, and they had to rename themselves to.
It might have been something like that. You know, they played under. It was either like or Edinay they played under. You know.
Was it Largy or something like that?
We played up, and that'd be McGrath. I would say that's the first time we played up at that field. Oh, it's going back a long, long time. But I know Eddie and myself was only two. I think we were only two living that played on that pitch. I'm only two because Sean McGoldrick and Sean Harvey and Patsy, Connolly and Gerard Devine done a thing away back about a year ago now, I think. And I had, down that there at Malabreen, and we were talking about that, about me and Eddie and me being about only two now alive that played on that field,
It brought you back down memory lane.
That's a long, long time ago.
Fair enough, you were able to remember a good few flashes there.
Well, Sean Harvey rang me one day and he says, I want to speak to you. And I was joking him and I says, I hope it's not money you're looking for. Or you've come to the wrong house. No, because Sean, I never be speaking at myself, Sean, But no, he says, come down. He says, they're going to do a thing here up on the field. And it's to do with the football, with the club. And I says, they were asking me to remember something. I says, don't forget it. I says, it's a long, long time ago. I says, I wouldn't remember half the things. Well, he says, maybe somebody remembers something that somebody else misses,
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
And well, I says, in that account, I says, I'll go down. It's any use to you. So I went down and Sean Golick had the video, or Gerald, some of them had a video, and went down to the field and talking just, but
they didn't throw a ball to you, annoyed to kick a few points.
There were no ball to be seen.
There'd be no goalpost down there anymore. It probably wouldn't be a place to be running about either.
No, not now, this day and age. That's as much as I remember. And going back, I'd be guessing if I had the
you'd be like John Dolan, you'd be making up a story.
I'd have to make it up. That's the only way I could get around.
That's another way of filling in the gaps, just to make it up. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, as they say.
That's right, That's as much as I remember,
No, that's...
I remember us all going down, on Saturday, or go down on Sunday, and we don't know training really, and we just run around the pitch and, playing toe in the hand or something like that, I mean, there was really no...
No, training was basic back then, it was...
That was very basic,
Whereas now it's tactics and what you eat.
The only training you got was running about after sheep or something. That's about the only training.
There's plenty of hills to practice on, now.
There are plenty of hills.
That's fantastic, Denny. Thanks for sharing those memories. You'd also be a well-renowned musician about these parts, and as I said, I'm pleased that you brought your guitar with you today. You're going to give us a wee tune, are you?
Sing a song if I can.
So everybody, please give it up for the one and only Denny Mac.
Sit down by the fire and pull up a chair. Though the night may be stormy, there's always welcome round here. We may sing a few songs, tell a story or two. There's always a welcome round here for an old friend like you. It's been a long time since you've been around here. You've been away for so long, it's been too many years. But now that you're here, a story or two, and we'll pass round the pictures and have few laughs on the way. round here. We may sing a few songs, tell a story or two. Oh, there's always a welcome round here for an old friend like you. And if there comes a time in this faraway land, though it's calling on you, you'll still find a hand reaching out for your touch. I'll wait in your call. Oh, there's always a welcome round here for an old friend like you. So sit down by the fire and pull up a chair. Though the night may be stormy, there's always a welcome round here. We may sing a few songs, tell a story or two. Oh, there's always a welcome round here for an old friend like you. Oh, there's always a welcome round here for an old friend like you.
The Chronicles of AghyNarnia.
A Chairperson's Dilemma, or Thank God for Volunteers, by Sadie McSorley. Who will man the bar tonight? Who will see the seats are right? Who will go to Carrickmore on Friday night? Who'll do the door? On Thursday we will need a few to clean this place, for the All-Stars do. There's a hole to fill first at the gate, and posts to shift, and there's some weight. There's a lot to do, it would appear. I'd like a few to volunteer. A deadly hush descends on all. Some look at their hands, some look at the wall. Some study the dust upon the floor, or cast a furtive glance towards the door. Some wonder why they've come tonight. The footballers should all be here by right. It isn't fair to expect us ones here to come to the rescue all through the year. We did our bit in the year that's past. We volunteered when we were asked. So it's up to you. You're in the chair. No use thinking it's not fair.
Chronicles of AghyNarnia.
Well, folks, playing us out this week with some soulful country music is a local of Aghyaran, a very gifted artist who has entertained many's a night at the centre of St Davog's GAC and moreover entertained the Northwest. It's the man, the myth, the legend that is Frankie Devine. Enjoy.
Summer's end comes around the bend, just flying. The swimming suits are on the line, just trying. I'll meet you there for her conversation. I hope I didn't ruin your whole vacation, for you never know how far from home you're feeling until you've watched the shadows cross the ceiling. And I don't know, but I can see it snowing, and in your car the windows are wide open. Just come on home, come on home. No, you don't have to be alone. Just come on home. Valentine's breaks hearts and minds at random. That old Easter egg ain't got a leg to stand on. And I can see that you can't win for trying. And Christmas Eve is bound to leave you crying. Just come on home, come on home. No, you don't have to be alone. Just come on home. The moon and stars hang out in bars just talking. I still love that picture of us walking, just like that old house we thought was haunted. Summer's end came faster than we wanted. Just come on home, come on home. No, you don't have to be alone. Just come on home, come on home. No, you don't have to be alone. Just come on home. There's a dear little isle in the western ocean, an island of purity, holy and grand, whose name fills his daughters and sons with emotion. When heard on the shores of a far distant land, it's Ireland, God bless her, the birthplace of heroes, the home of the patriot, warrior and saint, of bards and of chieftains whose names live in stories. May they live forever on history's page. You once were a proud and a glorious nation. Your name and your fame were known all over the world. But misfortune came o'er you and sad desolation, and your emerald banner in slavery unfurled. They tortured your children, despoiled your green bower. They tried to exterminate you long, long ago. But the Irish are somehow like wild creeping flowers. For the faster you pluck them, the quicker they grow. And I love every blade of grass green on your mountain, every tree on your tree, every rock on your strand. And I love your green hills and your murmuring fountain. And I love you, Acushla, my own bit of land. and I love you, Cushla, my unbiased land.
To AghyNarnia
and beyond.
The Chronicles